Welcome everybody to next Dapple Productions tournament. We are paddling in the pool for the 203rd time. My name is Nate, aka Chili Boy, and I am joined by the Looty legend himself.
It's the mill. Hello. Yeah, it's my good friend Nathaniel and I. Nate and I have been going back quite a bit. We used to be on a team like 5 years ago when we were actually good at the game, and now we're demoted to commentating on tournaments. We're having a lot of fun. I'm just enjoying this moment, to be honest. It's been a long time since I wanted to commentate a bit with my good friend Nate, so I'm happy to be here, and we've got a really good tournament set already. Because these are two teams that I'm actually looking forward to playing. Can you tell me what you know about My Lag Paradise and Defrost? Because you say you were recognized at least some players. It's already a start.
Yeah. I think just in terms of the two team names, they've been in the scene a long time. They're veteran tournament players, so even though this is a kind of a round one match per se, we're expecting kind of a high level of skill. Just for context, folks, as well, even though this is a midweek tournament, the turnout has been fantastic. So we've had 52 teams. So we're doing groups into a single elimination format because of that. And I think, Emil, you know a bit more specifics about the team history than I do, so you might want to expand on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a historian of Splatoon by any means, but yeah, definitely. But 52 teams, is that a lot more than usual, by the way? Because you've commentated quite a few. 52 is not something you've had before, otherwise.
We have reached it. We reached that number for Triton Cup quite regularly, but I think for paddling as a midweek tournament, 52 is a pretty good turnout. It's on the higher end of average, so it's always good to see, especially after there's been a string of recent Dapples tournaments with 20xx and the like. So the community still being very fresh and engaged is brilliant.
Nice. But yeah, My Lag Paradise. I think My Lag Paradise. These are two teams where I wouldn't even know which one I would really consider to be the favorite. My Lag Paradise is probably a bit more of a consistent team recently. They've been showing up really strongly in quite a lot of tournaments, and these teams sort of have the same sort of history. I think they sort of probably arrived in the scene about 2 years ago, if I would say. They've played in Luti, both of them. My Lack Paradise actually won a division, I believe, because, well, probably we didn't know them well enough, but they've been really solid, and they're not actually that laggy, from what I recall.
That is the fear, isn't it?
Yeah,
As soon as I saw that name, I was like, oh dear, but yeah, self-aware maybe. And we're
I
gonna
think
get right into it.
when they won their division, I think I posted on Twitter that they were like MLP. I thought it was from My Little Pony, but then they actually like DM me saying like, "Oh, we don't have any association with that at all." So I apologize, My Like Paradise, for slinging that into the world and pretending that you have anything to do with that.
Yeah, I think My Little Pony's slightly less threatening as a team, but I mean, we're already underway. We're getting straight into game one. Tower control on Sturgeon. Splatana trading with the Tetras there. And it looks like Defrost are going to be making the first push, so not wasting any time, but actually staying for a more neutral state just because only one down either side. You probably will see this with a more experienced team that they'll take a while before they commit to that first push.
Yeah, My Like Paradise not quite able to push up really early. It seems like Defrost is able to get the first cap really of the zone in this case. Even though it's not zones, it still counts, you know, the first zone cap. That basically just means you get the first push, you get the most specials, and that's what they're using right now. They're getting a crab on the tower. It's not quite quad splash yet, but it really seems like Defrost is basically able to execute that plan perfectly for now. They're throwing out specials. Shame nobody got hit by that previous slider, but they're really pushing up now.
The Tetra there, very, very brave, going for the crab, putting on the pressure, and then the combination with the BR bomb taking out the splash. That was really nice. I did notice that Defrost were very quick to try and set up on that push. We had the slosher machine going up onto the spinny to try and pressure the side. Maya like Paradise doing a good job of setting up defensively and making sure that they don't get wiped, with Defrost keeping up some really good offensive pressure here. We're about a minute and a half in, and since Defrost are starting to chip away at these checkpoints, it's setting them up really nicely if they do want to do an extended push later on.
Yeah, it's quite impressive how they're able to survive on Defrost's end. They're able to throw double bombs, which is really nice. I'm usually seeing juniors use more of a last-ditch effort type build, but it's nice to see them actually using the double bomb build. I'm not sure if they have both. I can't see the gear right now, but I'm never quite sure whenever I'm playing junior if I really want the double bombs or if I want to get the last-ditch effort, if it's even useful to do both, you know?
Yeah, I think it depends on their niche on the team, doesn't it, really? And I think they've got a relatively aggressive kind of comp on My Like Paradise's part, so I think having the double bomb does make sense in that case. We've got a bit more of a neutral state at the moment with 2.5 on the clock, so a push to 49 is really solid, 2.5 minutes in. Seeing the Reef Slider come out here, the Tetras, I mean, I just love Tetras, how they just wreak havoc, don't care about enemy ink. Going very, very deep, but being punished for that, and that's 2 down now with My Like Paradise possibly having a means of covering some ground. That being said, Defrost are still pushing. They're keeping that tower, like, they're not letting it go back to a fully neutral state. We're getting some good skirmishes going on in mid here. My Like Paradise just losing their ball point, I believe that is. So Defrost still actually managing to retain map control despite losing a couple of players on that push.
It's so nice. It doesn't seem like they really seem to mind, you know? They went like 1 or 2 down, 1 or 2 times on Defrost, but because they already pushed the tower, because they had so much ink, they could afford to, you know, go down with that Tetras to go in and to get 1 or 2 deaths. And that's the nice thing about these sorts of setups when you already have the lead, when you already are pushing, when you already have all the ink. It doesn't even matter that much if you die, because if you do, then you can just jump back to mid, and if your opponents die, you might just get a knockout, you know? That's
Yeah,
really
definitely.
the power they're using right now. It doesn't seem like My Lack Paradise is getting that many more picks, but whenever Defrost gets a few picks, just their spawn. It likes like they're able to knock it out right now. Very nice.
Yeah, I mean, really, really good showing from defensively there, and I think you know in terms of players and play skill, like these are very even players. I think mechanically speaking, but you could just tell Defrost there as a comp. You know, they really understand each other's role. Within their lineup, and ILY on the Tetras was just so relentlessly offensive, and then the rest of the team, based on that, can decide on when they want to press on, when they want to hold the space to allow ILY to jump back in, and when they need to retreat a little bit. But like you said, they never retreated too far. They never kind of fully gave up on the push. They just held ground, kept the tower from resetting fully to neutral, and that just allowed them to pick up where they left off. And I think My Like Paradise were doing a really good job at the start, like holding in there and stopping them advancing too quickly, but it felt like that relentless offensive pressure from Defrost was enough to just whittle them down over time.
Yeah, My Life Paradises wasn't able to output enough ink. So, I mean, I'm assuming the streamers are also happy, right? Because our streamers today are German. I mean, not you and I, but like the people behind the stream. Defrost is also a German team, right? Or at least partly, I believe. And I
I
don't mean
do,
because of the
I do
VOD,
believe
because
so.
that's German. But I'm sure there's Germans in there, at least partly.
There's always Germans in the EU Splatoon community, and we love them. But yeah, no, I do believe Defrost German. I like the message in the chat from Risu3K saying Defrost different. So yeah, I think they're placing bets on Defrost to take this. Got Splat Zones Museum as our next kind of map mode combination for round two. What do you think My Like Paradise need to do, Emil, to get the advantage this time?
Well, it's quite hard because on the last map, you saw that My Lack Paradise wasn't able to. And I mean, I'm going to be a broken record in this case, but it seemed like they couldn't really get out any ink in mid very efficiently. It seemed like Defrost was just able to output more ink. And in this case, it's quite hard to drop down a museum. You sort of sit on your plat and you have to ink mid on splat zones for a long time. So
Mm,
I think if they keep up this sort of team build where they're sort of more aiming to get picks, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get enough ground of a neutral situation. I'm
yeah.
looking for them to. I'm not saying run triple splash, but probably run triple splash.
That's the dark side if you turn to triple splash. I kind of respect it and judge people for it at the same time. I mean, composition-wise, we've got T-Tech coming out here from My Like Paradise and the Custom Junior this time. Defrost
Definitely an
was,
improvement.
yeah. So I think there's a lot more ink there on My Like Paradise's side this time. I would be really surprised if they weren't able to capitalize on map control once they get the numbers. But I think it depends. Like they're going to have to play around that E-liter, and that could be challenging. Tetra's getting knocked out immediately, so that's a good offensive start from My Like Paradise, and we'll see what they can do with that here.
I think C Junior is probably a good pick. Those tornadoes, the torpedoes are going to help with as well as the wave breaker, are going to help a lot with the tetras because it just means that when you throw stuff at the tetras, they're not going to be able to dodge around and just not care because they're going to have to respond to those torpedoes. They're going to have to respond to the wave breaker.
Mm.
So I think that Tetras that annoyed them so much in the last game, I think the C Junior might just be, I mean, either a lucky pick or a very intentional pick to just make sure that they don't have that same effect here.
It does feel very intentional. Mm. Sorry, Emil, do you want
Or
to
I
finish
might be
that?
overthinking this and just run triple crab, but
Hey, well, look, you could run triple cab, but this is more entertaining, and I think the Custom Genie was a great kind of pick there to get that good opening, get the wave breaker out to deter people from zone. And I did like that My Like Paradise, when they got the zone, they did go on to Defrost plat. They weren't willing to just sit in mid and wait for Defrost to drop down, but Defrost had a really good response in shutting My Like Paradise down there. That being said, My Like Paradise have the zone. They're getting rid of that cap, and they took two down there and forced a third to jump out. So that was close to another wipe. So this comp for My Like Paradise working out really well. The torpedoes coming out, as you were saying there, Emil, that will apply that offensive pressure. And we're seeing the crabs come out from Defrost to try and get some map control, but they're not even able to stop the timer there until just now. So they have managed to come back and get a kind of penalty in conjunction with the Booyah Bomb, but they struggled to reclaim that from My Like Paradise there.
it's still very impressive. I mean, this crap wasn't indeed able to solo the zone, which was unfortunate, but once the rest of their specials came out, I think the crab was more of an initiator of the push. Because they started out with it, they jumped back with it, and they knew that their team just didn't have any specials ready. So it might have been that they forgot that their team also had to have specials ready, but probably they just wanted to get some ink out, some damage all over the field just for that a reef slider to be able to come in later and actually get a few knockouts with some splash damage.
Yeah, I
I think
mean,
reef slider work very well on this because there's one or two of these here on the left, right below this ballpoint. There's one of those open areas where you can just reef slide in and get an explosion. It's really hard to avoid it.
yeah.
You'd have to drop down or jump off the map.
Oh, and this is looking
And
really
with that reef
scary,
slider, there's a bit
actually.
of knock now. This might just be it again.
Yeah, I think when Defrost managed to get control here again, it's just that relentless offensive pressure difference. It felt like I feel like My Like Paradise was starting to slightly tunnel vision there on just getting a penalty at all costs, and Defrost were playing around that and just picking them off kind of one by one as they were desperately trying to secure zone. I mean, I think a really good showing in terms of how My Like Paradise kind of opened and set that up, but I did notice when you were kind of analysing the situation, Emil, and I agree with you. It does make sense that Crab was used as more of an initiator, but that Tetra was just zipping around and got a pick, and then was retreating just enough for the ball point to not be able to pick them off. And I think that amount of offense was just unfortunately a bit too suffocating for My Lag Paradise to be able to contend with, really, despite that being a stronger opening.
Yeah, the defrost sweep being allowed here. It's very impressive how they were able to take it back, because it didn't feel like My Lag Paradise really had that much of a weakness in that case, and they didn't even get picked off, but somehow they were just able to get in really quickly. And I think it's quite impressive how the defrost found those picks in the end, because it wouldn't have been easy for me.
Yeah, no, it was you have to have a very good kind of game sense and know where those kind of openings are, and just not really hesitate. And certainly the Tetras was not wasting any time there doing that. So congratulations to Defrost for a really strong opening. The beauty of us being kind of grouped into single elimination is that this is not My Lag Paradise out by any stretch of the imagination. They've got a couple of more games in a Group C to try and still make it through to kind of the single elimination bracket. So I believe we're going to take a very small break while waiting to see what next game we're going to be able to see. But we will be back very shortly, folks, for another exciting round.
See you.
Splatoon Stronghold, a stronghold for competitive Splatoon, providing resources to long-timers and newcomers alike. If you're new to the competitive scene or still figuring out how to join, we have a getting started guide and plenty of other resources to help you in your journey. If you are a seasoned veteran, we still have plenty to offer. You can find and join tournaments as well as participate in our Captain Forum and find free agents and teams. Our mission is to make competitive Splatoon easily accessible to everyone. So what are you waiting for? Join the Splatoon Stronghold today!
Welcome back, everybody. It's Chili Boy here, joined by Emil. We're already going to be getting into another round. We're going to Group L this time to see who's going to take the L and who's going to get the dub between 1904 and Shard. And again, this is two teams that me and Emil kind of recognise and that we believe are both around the kind of low Div 1, high Div 2 kind of caliber. Is that right, Emil?
Yeah, it's cream of the crop again, to be honest. Like, usually when you commentate these tournaments in the first few rounds, they just take whomever, you know. It could be a Division X team versus a team that just entered the scene. But in this case, we're actually getting some very competitive matches right already with teams that we already know players of. So on one hand, of course, it's sad that you don't get to watch new players and see what they're up to. But on the other hand, this is a very good match with 1904, mostly a French team, I believe. Magi is I think she's Swiss. Is that correct, or am I wrong now? It could be.
That sounds right, but I'm not sure.
I might be wrong on these, but at least they're French speaking, and Shard is also a very solid tournament team. A bit solo queue warrior-y, but it might just be how often I come across them, but still very nice.
But very high caliber solo queue warrior-y. Good compositions here for Clan Bits on Inkblot. We've got double slosher machine, Splattershot Elite are coming out for 1904, I believe, and for Shard we've got a Carbon Deco. That just makes me think of Tok and how much havoc he used to wreak with that thing in Splat 1, and then the classic kind of Splashomatic, Slush Machine and T-Tech on Shard as well. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to kind of see how this opens up here. We're seeing a couple of trades already, but as with Clan Blitz, you never tend to see an immediate push. It's a bit more of a who can win the first kind of series of exchanges.
Yeah, with this common deco, they've gone for quite a painty comp, of course. Two shooters, two very common shooters with the triple wing strike, and also a Slushing Machine, which can be quite outputty. In this case, though, 1904 gets almost a team wipe, but then gets wiped themselves. I'm not sure even what happened there. It just seemed like 8 people died in about 5 seconds. 1904 got a clan in though, so they're definitely up there. And even though Shard gets this powered clan back, just as a reserve clan, it seems like 1904 not only got a push, but even still has basically the entirety of mid covered, which means they might be lining up for a second push right now.
Which is really interesting with an Elite, because I thought that would have maybe hindered their ability to kind of hold them down. But the Elite's a fantastic pick there and plays very, very aggressively. But it has been, as you say, it's been working. There's been lots of kind of slays and trades and revenge kills. But 1904 getting another kind of clan there, but not high scoring. It feels a little bit scrappy, and getting fully wiped there is going to give Shard the perfect opportunity now to get a lot of map control in mid, possibly set up for a very punishing push if they do manage to secure it in this next exchange.
Yeah, this could be very punishing, especially the 10 attack going down at that point. I mean, it's not 10 attack, it's a splatter shot. But that 10 attack, you know, going full right is unfortunate just because it means that Shard now has the option of getting really tidy with mid, and they've taken advantage of it. And even though they've already made 2 pushes 1904, they're both just one clan, so it seems like they're just not able to break through here. That 10 attack league seems to be in a very tough situation, and that Slushing Machine is not going to be able to team wipe from here. Unless they are. Wow, that's like 3 down. That's very impressive.
Classic commentator's curse.
Well, it's over, and then suddenly a very impressive player. I did not expect that at all. I got to be honest. That's very nice.
Oh, well, I think you were right that 1904, they were holding out really well. They were setting up in kind of key positions, and they were really deterring Shard from getting in safely. And then it looked like 3 went down in a very, very close succession, just leaving the Elite up and all the pressure on them. And I saw as well that the teammates were throwing the power clams to one person. So one person was able to get in 2 power clams. Really nice initial score there on Shard's part in response, giving Shard the edge as we go into the next section. But this is so scrappy. I mean, I can't finish a sentence without seeing people trade or revenge kill. Sloshing Machine duel here, which the 1904 players are going to win. But Splat Bomb is going to just catch them. That is beautiful.
It seems like 1904 has the advantage this entire game, but currently Shard is still in the lead, you know, and there's 2 minutes left with 2 and 1904 down. It seems like even though they're getting push after push and pick after pick, they're just not able to really get enough going. They've got quite a few power clams. Shard going, very interesting play by the Carbon. Impressive that worked out. But they just keep getting away with things where you're like, oh, they should never be getting away with it. But somehow it's just working out every single time. So,
I feel like I think that about feel like I think that about everything a Carbon does. It's just like, how did you do that? Like that should be illegal. Like you should have been punished. But yeah, managing to make it work. I mean, yeah, I'm very surprised because given that 1904 have been wiped pretty much a couple of times, but they still have such good control of mid, and that is making it really difficult. I mean, the problem is 1904's pushes though do not feel quite as in sync. Like they are managing to kind of chip away at the basket, but they're only really getting in a power clam, you know, per go, and you're going to need a lot more of that here if Shard are going to break the basket again. I mean, no one here is kind of waiting to get kind of team wipes and stuff. Even with one player down, people are just taking advantage of that. And, you know, Shard to have whittled away their pities, not too bad at all. But with only a minute on the clock and how chaotic this match has been, I do not think it is safe for Shard yet by any stretch of the imagination with how 1904 are playing.
It's a very high octane match. It's not impossible, especially in these types of games where you're running a lot of slushing machines, some crams. It's definitely not impossible. I've seen it before where you just sit in your bomb plant for about 4 minutes and then nothing gets scored, and then one person just gets a sneaky clam in at the end. And somebody
crab on the brain.
That's not this at all. It's very high octane. I'm just not even sure at all even is in favour of winning this right now, because it seems like 1904 just needs one power clam and a single one, and suddenly they're in the lead, and that's definitely something they can do. It is just to go down again on Shard. This might be their opportunity if they can get this power clam in the next 15 seconds. It's basically over for 1904. There's a spawning, a flanking person right by, and they're dropping in.
Oh!
And they're getting a single one.
Wow! Wow! I mean, that from a map control perspective, it was so scrappy, but largely in 1904's favour throughout. And I think that, you know, what I felt like in terms of pushes, Shard had by far the most coordinated push that game, where, you know, special setup, multiple power clams, passing them to each other, getting a 49 score in one push. Their second push not as strong, but that first push they got was really impressive. 1904 had a lot of kind of scrappy pushes where they just really got the power clam in and nothing else, but chipping away and getting it so reliably. You know, just either sneaking through or breaking through Shard's defenses temporarily, but it was enough. And yeah, I think quite a hard match to follow just because of how aggressive the play was on both sides, but I love it.
Yeah, that's an amazing difference, you know, Shard having one push with over 50 points, and actually 1904 doing 4 pushes, but the best of their 4 pushes was that push in the end where they got in a power clam and then a single tiny clam, and that was their best push so far, the only one where they scored more than a single power clam.
Yeah.
But yeah, very interesting match, good flank at the end. I'm surprised that nobody caught that out, because that seems to be basically the one place you have to look to make sure you don't get faked out at the end there, is to have at least one person checking the flank. Or maybe they didn't they got taken out just outside of a camera. That's also possible. It did seem like a lot of people were going down in there at that end.
Yeah, it was definitely a case of a player that I think did get splatted, but had been able to give the Elite, I believe, the jump before they went down, that just allowed them to throw that in. So then a teammate must have just had the odd clam on them that they needed just to chip that extra point away. So yeah, quite a cheeky secure there from 1904, but very well earned, very well played from both sides, if not in the most kind of conventional way. And I think we'll probably see that chaos continue, because it's Hagglefish splat zones, multiple opportunities to flank here. 1904 going with the same comp. Understandably, it worked well for them. We're seeing a squeezer coming out from Shard. I've not seen one of them for a little bit.
I gotta be honest, when that match point thing popped up, I'm like, wow, did Splatoon introduce something new in the new match update? It was just...
That's a Dapple special. That's a Dapple special, yeah.
Well done, Dapple. You fooled me this time, you got me. My bad. But 1904 is just cruising along just as last time, and a very nice triple and a complete wipeout. Are they able to push off as far as they can? Because this is zones, and it's really hard to get into the opposing spawn.
What a pick there on the 10 from the splatter shot. That was fantastic. And the one thing I'm struck by with 1904 is that their elites play so aggressive once they've got an opening. I love it. Like, you see some charges a bit hesitant and staying too far back, but that elite gets right up in the fray and just really puts on a lot of pressure that allows their teammates to capitalize. It looked like it was an incredibly strong start for 1904, but then Shard, responded okay. But again, we're seeing this situation where the picks don't seem to matter that much, and 1904 is straight back in it, and we've got a very, very yellow splat zone right now with 1904 in control, although the Crab Tank might have something to say about that.
Yeah, Shard was honestly lucky to be able to say that they got the zone there, because it seemed like 1904 already pushed 40 points, and then just happened to not be able to cap the zone there for like 1 second. And it seemed like this is basically what happened last game with 1904 and Shard, which is that 1904 has all the control the entire game, but Shard's just able to get one of those two weird picks, and suddenly they're almost tied again. And it's actually Shard that with this individual play, is this Dennis doing this right now?
I believe so, yeah. A fantastic play, isn't it? Yeah, Dennis. Yeah, because that was fantastic, because there was one upper side, it was the Elite versus the Squeezer, and Dennis really went on the offensive there, pushed Elite in the corner, got the pick, immediately put out the splash wall for a layer protection, and got a secondary pick. So Dennis has really seen that opportunity, allowed Shard to make a really nice aggressive play. We've got Crab Tank ready, we've got Booyah out.
I'm not sure if I would have been able to do that. I probably would have been cowering somewhere in a corner to make sure that I didn't die. But it's very impressive because it was a 1v2, right? With Dennis against 2, so it was very
believe so. I believe so, yeah.
But he also pushed up into their spawn, which is not easy if you're in a 1v2, to push your opponents back into their spawn. So very impressive, because if he had gone down there, that would have been it, basically, right?
Yeah, and I mean, the gameplay awareness from Shard this game has been fantastic, because I noticed at one point, I think one of the shooters was trying to flank Dennis, and the teammate saw that and did the Booyah bomb, which picked off the person that would have absolutely got Dennis otherwise. But yeah, constant skirmish now. 1904 did manage to get a penalty on, but Shard have immediately recovered from that. And it really feels like, just from my perspective as a commentator, that momentum is shifting slightly into Shard's favour now, compared to what we saw last time.
Yeah, after the first minute, I'd already basically written off Shard as being, well, looks like what's exactly what happened last game is just going to happen again, except it just means that I have no chance because it's Splat Zone. But Shard really picking up, and it's Shard that's making the individual plays. I think 1904 is doing very well as a team together, and maybe they played more as a team. I'm not even know if that's true, but that's what it feels like. They have a lot more coordination. But Shards get these very nice individual plays, which they're able to leverage into suddenly getting all the control on the map, because 1904 is just slowly pushing up and getting back as a team, but then suddenly Shard is able to break through and get into their spawn. They're going so far right now.
Look how deep!
On-camping them.
Yeah, I mean, so deep with the Booyah bomb there, and what I'm kind of seeing is like 1904. They managed to just about get a pity. Like, they just about get a pity punish on Shard, but then Shard have picked everybody off by the time that 1904 secured the zone, and then are immediately able to whittle that pity off and then some. I mean, they desperately need a cap here. They're trying, they're getting punished for it. They need this cap now, and they're not going to get it. So Shard, yeah, a very, very different tone to that first game, which felt a bit... relatively balanced, but weighted in 1904's favour, I would say, throughout. That game, Shard looked much, much scarier to face.
I think it's just the team styles of the two, right? Where Shard has a much better sight on what you do once you really go into control. And 1904 being able to take back control maybe a bit more easily, so...
take back control just makes me think of Brexit. But I know what you mean.
British players here either we have to ban. I think we're fine.
And that is brilliant, because that's going to take us to our first, game 3 and our tiebreaker here to decide which team's going to come out on top. I mean, to be honest, after how both these games have gone, I wouldn't want to really place bets. I would maybe lean slightly towards Shard because they have the momentum going into this. But tower control on Mako is, quite a challenging map, I think, to get a flat-out knockout on. And with the aggression we've seen from both teams, I think we're going to see a lot of creative plays around the kind of terrain here. I think this could honestly go either way.
I mean, these teams are very neck and neck, right, in terms of skill. It probably really determines... It's the result of this will entirely be determined whether 1904 is going to get crushed during one of their pushes by Shard, whether Shard is going to get full team wipe and push up into their spawn. Hope
Yeah.
1904 is going to be able to hold out for 5 minutes, because so far, first game, it seemed like they were basically able to hold out for 5 minutes with one decent push going their way, not going their way. But in this case, tower control is just less of a war of attrition than the other two. You know, climelets and splat zones, you can make intermediate pushes. And even though there's checkpoints, it's really about that one big push, right? It's a bit more
It
like
is
Rainbow
indeed.
Falls in that case. But it
It
feels
is
like
indeed.
Everest might, not Everest. I keep calling them Everest. Shard. Sorry, Shard. Um, it seems like Shard is able to get a bit of more of an advantage in this map mode compared to the other two.
Yeah.
In my opinion, at least.
We've got a charger on either side this time, which is nice. And we've got a Dennis has traded in their squeezer, which performed fantastically on zones for a T-Tech, which I think does make sense for the map mode combo. So we'll see how that goes. Shard wasting no time getting a crab tank and immediately getting on the tower, but it looks like their shooter did get punished for that. Although they've managed to get 2 down. Hold on a minute. So again, Shard just so aggressive out the gate. 3 down here and only leader up. This is incredibly aggressive.
Yeah. And immediately when that crab came out, I'm like, well, you might not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like, you know, with immediately being like, well, what are you going to do about it? We're going to put out some crabs and we're going to hunt you down. And I mean, it's going to be really hard for 1904 to block this. And 1904, even if this push doesn't pan out, they're going to have to make a really good push back. And it just seems like 1904 is in full, Shard is in full control right now with all the picks going in their favor, with the entire map being blue, with only the Elite on 1904's end not being basically team-wiped constantly. And it's the Elite that's keeping them together right now. With a very nice flanking there by Dennis.
Can we talk about how beautiful Dennis's ink strike was there, that just absolutely eviscerated 2 people in 1904? I mean, that was propaganda kind of poster for anyone that doesn't believe in the tri-strike post buff, but that is also propaganda for how good the Zuka can be when well aimed. So 1904 desperately trying to recover this push, but I agree with you. I mean, 35 on this map mode is actually quite scary. The trying to kind of push back the past the enemy's high is incredibly challenging against a well-synced team, and I think what's made this worse now is because Shard have got that push so early, the burden is on 1904 to be aggressive for the rest of this game, and that's going to be very hard to do if Shard take advantage of that, really.
And 1904 trying to be a bit more aggressive now. They were able to, they go 2 down. That's really sad. That could have been one of their pushes. I thought that might be the point where basically the point of return in that case, but Shot picking up those players again, and it looks like they're in full control, and it doesn't really seem like 1904 has an answer at this point. Shot is just able to keep their specials, keep their aggression going, and well, 1904 is really going to have to make something happen.
I mean, this is already looking a really scary push again. Look at that booyah where they were all set up. I mean, I do want to acknowledge on Shard's part as well, I thought it was a fantastic ink back coming out from the sniper, because that was really protective, and I think the shot from the ink back is what got a number of picks. 1904, that being said, they're not down and out yet. They have managed to knock out 3 and force the last player, Dennis, to jump out, preserving that ink strike. I think that was a really smart move under the circumstances, because they can just use that to hold map and look at that beautiful pick on Svara to stop 1904 being able to push easily. There's a minute and 45 on the clock, so 1904 have a bit of time to get a game plan together, but they're probably going to be feeling the pressure and the nerves now the longer this game drags on, without them being able to get on the board properly.
Yeah, with a minute and a half left, it's going to be hard with how smart Shard are playing at this point, because it seems like none of them are really going down unnecessarily. You know, it seems like 1904 does get picked down occasionally, but Shard seems to always have a player left, not opting for your Booyah Bomb in this case. I feel like maybe popping it there and throwing it at the checkpoint might have been smart. So it seems like very smart, very nice. They just trusted their teammates at that point, I guess, and they just felt like, well, that checkpoint's not going to get. I thought they were team-wiped, Shard, but they seem like they care about getting team-wiped at this point. Every time they get team-wiped, 3 seconds later they're back in mid somehow with 4 people and getting specials out. So
it's incredible. I think they're always, they have gone 3 down multiple times, but I think the last player either just gives them an in or just, manages to hold 1905 back enough that they just don't quite have the turf and ground they need to to continue the push aggressively. I mean, 1904, credit to them, they're going for it. They're getting a lot more kind of picks than they have been. But like you say, it feels like Shard, there's always someone around the corner. There's always a kind of backup plan or a special ready to go. And I agree that the hesitance with the slosher machine was a bit confusing, but then they used it a little bit later just to stall the push. That being said, 3 down on Shard's part. The Splashomatic has saved their crab tank, and they will be desperately using that now to stop this push. But this is Shard's best, this is 1904's best shot that we've seen, and it's 2 aside. It's a booyah bomb trying to stop the person getting on the tower. They are going to be able to continue this with just a charger alive. You may be eating your words, Emil, but you... Oh... Okay, I mean, a bit of a heart attack at the end there. Really good signs of life from 1904, because it would have been really easy to get psychologically kind of worn down from just how well Shard were playing throughout that match. But that was a really good attempt to get an overtime recovery from 1904. But Shard just about managing to hold it out and take that 2-1. Whew.
Yeah, and that last push, when Shard did that another push and they got like 4 extra points, those 4 extra points that they got, that helped a lot in this case because it was super close, but it was Shard in the end that took it. But yeah, that was pretty insane. I didn't expect 1904 to have it in them, but they didn't give up, and somehow they were able to gain back control of basically their entire spawn, where they seemed to be lacking at the start, where they just, even if they got 3 picks on the opposing team on Shard, they just weren't able to really get in there, and Shard was able to get back in really quickly. But they turned that around in the end when they just went full in, because they knew they had no other shot. They weren't going to be sitting in their spawn and waiting for the next push, because there were 10 seconds left and you have to push, right?
Yeah.
I think that helped them a lot, this mentality shift of being like, okay, we're going to have to go full out, we're going to have to get to their planet, because otherwise, we'll have no second chances.
Absolutely, and I think that is the thing sometimes is, it's a mistake sometimes to just wait for the perfect push, because it might never come, and, good enough was what they had to deal with at that point, and they found that good enough opportunity and they capitalized on it beautifully, and Shard just about managed to hang in there. So, I mean, GG's to both teams. 1904, I think, can still be really proud of how they played. The beauty of being groups is that, they're not out of this yet. They've got a good chance to recover, to get through to the single elimination stages. And this is why, folks, this is why you join us for the start of the tournament and don't just wait for finals, because I saw that we had 93 people in the chat, which is brilliant. And, I mean, this has been 2 amazing games to make sure that we start awake.
Right now. Got the best game right now with the charger at the end, barely able to hold on, because if I was in that charger shoes right there, I would have definitely been way too nervous to hit those shots. I would not have connected both of them. It was very impressive. And it seemed like the charger was at a disadvantage because the opposing had an E-liter, right?
Yes,
so it seemed like they were just going to get shot out the entire game with all those specials and the Inkzukas that were coming out, but the Inkvac came in clutch. So I think we're looking forward towards the next game. We're going to be taking a small break again.
We are indeed.
And we'll see you for the next game in a bit.
See you soon, folks.
Splatoon Stronghold, a stronghold for competitive Splatoon, providing resources to long-timers and newcomers alike. If you're new to the competitive scene or still figuring out how to join, we have a getting started guide and plenty of other resources to help you in your journey. If you are a seasoned veteran, we still have plenty to offer. You can find and join tournaments as well as participate in our Captain Forum and find free agents and teams. Our mission is to make competitive Splatoon easily accessible to everyone. So what are you waiting for? Join the Splatoon Stronghold today!
Welcome back, everybody, to Paddling Pool 203. We are over to Group J this time for Hanbaga versus Brave, and Hanbaga is for Japanese hamburgers, which is amazing. That's what I was thinking it was, but wasn't too sure. My name's Nate, aka Chili Boy, and I'm joined by the Looty legend himself, Emil. How you doing, Emil? How are you finding it so far?
Thank you. I'm Emil. I'm joined by the H3 legends, Twitty Boy. I'm good. I was just honestly checking about these teams because, I mean, Hamburger sounds to me like another one of those teams where we would go into a 5-minute rant about how we should pick normal team names and how we should be able to recognize you and how you're bad for making us all look you up all the time. But it seemed like I barely even know the players. I do know Brave. Brave played, well, of course, in Looty, so I know about them. You know, they did pretty decently in that division. It wasn't like the highest division, but they still did fairly well. So I'm looking forward to see what they're going to, at least. You know, and Hamburger, their name at least seems like something that took a little bit of thought. And whenever I don't know a team, I'm just gonna be entirely basing it on that team name.
Yeah, well, Hanbaga is, you know, it doesn't exactly sound menacing, but it does sound, like you say, like they put some thought into it, and they have actually been monsters in their pool so far. So this is Group J. They've actually won. Hanbaga's won both their previous matches, and Brave have unfortunately lost both of their previous. So Hanbaga definitely the favourites going into this. We'll see how that plays out in practice. Always good, you know, regardless of skill level that you're entering, to come in and do these tournaments and go on the grind. A lot of the teams that have become absolutely incredible and top ranks in like higher divisions, you know, started off as newbies in spaces exactly like this. So we shall see. We've got a. Go on.
I don't want to say that they're newbies because I just see that they defeated like the Hood, and I'm like, oh, they are not newbies. They are actually players.
Yeah, the HUD is the HUD's a good team to beat. You know, the HUD's not a trivial team to beat. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. I like that we've got we're seeing a constant increase in Splatana stampers. It really feels like that's got a place in the meta now. And we've got a Hydra on Brave's part as well, which we haven't really seen in the tournament yet. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. But a good amount of skirmishes so far. I'm not feeling a massive skill difference yet, but we're only 45 seconds in.
Yeah, it's hard to tell for now. BG Nude, yeah, it looks like it was just basically my own ignorance of not knowing about them, you know. The names seemed... You know, you can have names and it could be the story Squid Surgers, and you're like, okay, these are probably like people that have never played a game before. But Hamburger, yeah, definitely showing up right now, and I'm glad to be able to know about them now, so that when I face them later, I'll know to not underestimate them in the tournament, you know?
Yeah, and they are not messing around at all. If you look at this here, they've already smashed the checkpoint, pushed to 16, and wiped 3 on Brave. A full wipeout. That is going to be the end of game 1 by the time we finish processing their name. Blimey.
Yeah, very impressive. Very quick push, a double push, which is... It's not easy to team wipe someone when they're basically in their spawn and just able to shoot at you from above. But they're able to do that, so very well done. It might be a very quick 2 knockout. I'm hoping it won't be, but with this showing, it just might very well be.
Yeah, I think it felt like for the initial kind of skirmishes and stuff, you know, that there was a good kind of back and forth. There was what looked like to either be trades or kind of revenge kills and good map awareness from both sides. But it felt like as soon as Hamburger got the momentum there, that was just it after that. And maybe that's when, you know, if maybe you're a team that hasn't got as much experience at kind of high levels of play, like the nerves might kind of kick in, and you stop panicking and feeding. But we'll see how this goes. We've got Brine Water Springs on Splat Zones, so this is one of our newer map modes. I actually haven't played this map mode combination much, so I'm not really sure what to expect. Yeah,
I thought this would be like one of your favorite bow modes because it's a really nice bow map. You know,
I adore bow on Brine Water, but I've not played it on Zones, so I don't know if Zones would affect playing bow on it. But I agree, it's a very fun bow map in general.
Imagine Brine Water TC, but instead of a tower in the middle, it's a zone. That's basically this.
Is it really that simple?
I don't know. That's sort of what it seems like.
So it's just one central zone. Yeah. So is it
I'm
an
not
easy
sure.
to paint zone?
Yeah, it's a normal zone. Nothing special about it. It's just a zone. Are you going to be running? I'm not sure if you're switching entirely over to the H3. Are you going to do that? Because Hammer is going to be a bit rough, you know. Or are you going to
Yeah.
be a
Well.
bit main for this?
No. Well, it's L3, isn't it, in this patch? And yeah,
Oh,
I
L3,
mean.
yeah.
I mean, chat. We need to talk about the patch at some point. I know there's custom Jet Squelcher mains up in flames and panic at the moment, based on how, the kit reveal not living up to the hype. But I used to play a lot of the nozzle noses, and I'm so sad that the L3D has Ultra Stamp. I'm probably not going to play it because of that, Emil, to be honest. But yeah, we shall see. I was looking forward to that, and I want a new Tri-Stringer kit. Why have we not got a new Tri-Stringer kit yet? Come on, it's a new weapon.
Yeah, it's so sad. I never seem to give them new weapons any love, except the Splatoon Stamper, which he's just amazing here.
And that was really nice work from their Splatoon Stamper. Like, that double pick and then jumping out was good, but it has not been enough to stop Hanbaga getting a very aggressive early cap on this zone.
Very nice flank at the start, and they're pushing in quite nicely, and Brave are just running in and feeding themselves right now, so Hanbaga doesn't seem to be very worried at this moment. They do go one down, but they still have everything under control. And it seems like whenever they're going to be in the next push, it just seems like there's going to be a crab in mid, and it's not going to be very helpful. So they're going to have to keep the triple ink strikes going, or is it the regular spotter shot? With the,
it is.
Yeah, it's with the Zuka, yeah.
Zuka, yeah.
This is very sad. It's just the one word that I'm saying right now. It just looks like an entire, basically a massacre with Hanbaga showing themselves off really nicely, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And you know, I've been on both sides of that exchange. I've been the team spawn camping. I've been the team getting spawn camped. It can be a really frustrating situation, but you know, don't try not to get too disheartened, because you know you can learn from kind of situations like this. And I think, you know, it's amazing that the community keeps growing, and that's why I'm enjoying that we have, you know, 52 attendees at the moment, because we're seeing our community grow, and people are going to learn and develop the skills and watch replays back and go from there. But first match we've seen where I think there does seem to be quite a big skill gap. I mean, very well done to Hanbaga, definitely a team worthy of respect. And Brave, it's great you came along. And I think I actually saw, like, you know, from the Spartana, for example, some really good kind of individual play. I think Brave's work is to really get more in sync as a team, because it felt like when that push was happening, everyone was a bit separated and, you know, kind of running in one by one. And, you know, a more experienced team is just going to, no matter how good you are as a player mechanically, you're going to get punished for that if you are not playing as a collective, you know?
Yeah, and it seemed like Brave wasn't even, like, Brave is not a bad team, you know? Brave is playing in tournaments, they're doing pretty decently. But it seemed like Hanbaga was just playing very well, you know? And of course, winning their group, that wasn't too surprising. So I definitely wouldn't say that Brave played that all that poorly. It was just Hanbaga being really good in this case. So I'm looking forward to see what they can actually do in bracket, because again, I don't really know the players. I definitely don't know the team. So these are the types of, you know, when you see a good team that you don't really know, it's always nice to see, okay, whether they place just for any future moments.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, you know, like I say, it can be really disheartening a loss like that, but I think take it in your stride, try and learn from it, pick yourself back up and give it another go. Like, the competitive world is not an easy one to navigate. Me and Emil know about that from our time. I mean, it makes it sound ancient, doesn't it, Emil, talking about back in the day when we were on on the bounce. But you know, we've gone through that journey of being a really strong team, being a less strong team, and I think if you can treat everything as an opportunity to learn, you know, that's going to serve you really well long term. So yeah, I mean, we've got a bit of time, I imagine, while waiting for the next game. So I am going to open the can of worms and ask chat. You can see Epic Pikachu is talking about Nintendo, and you know, the meta being stale. What is everybody's thoughts on the new Splash-O-Matic? Because Twitter was in flames this morning. I have seen so much discourse today on T-Tech versus Neo Splash, what's better, and how regardless of which one is better, it's an insult to the other one that both kits are too similar and have a similar niche. And I'm not sure how I feel about that yet, so I'm going to ask you first, Emil, but I'm going to open that up to our chat as well, because it feels to be the most controversial announcement yet about what is otherwise quite an exciting new season that we're going to be.
It's very interesting, but the thing is, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I'm a top player, like a top 5 player in the world right now. So I'm sure there's people who know better the absolute strengths of these weapons. But it seems like Crab Tank plus Burst Bomb is pretty much the best kits that you can have for a Splashomatic, with Burst Bomb being able to combo really well with his main weapon and with a lot of its teammates. But the triple Ink Strike is probably the best counter or a definition of the word to Crab Tank, you know? So against triple regular Splashomatic comps, I assume that the one with the triple Ink Strike, who's just able to fire them off constantly, is going to be amazing. Just because it counters the other set very well, but maybe if you're against an opposing E-liter, maybe you'd rather just be able to pick it off immediately with a Crab Tank rather than wait a while and try and hit it with an Ink Strike and just displace it a bit, you know? So I feel like it's going to be interesting to see, but also triple Ink Strike is probably less vulnerable to like Splatoon stampers and the like. So I think both of them are going to be viable, and it's going to be dependent on, in the very next patch, is Splashomatic suddenly going to get a huge nerf? Is E-liter going to get a huge nerf? Is Platana Stamper going to be nerfed? Is something else going to be bumped? Is Kraken going to be amazing and suddenly everyone is playing 96, you know, just like me? So
I bet you're happy about that, aren't you?
I'm definitely going to be running 96 for basically the rest of the... It's hard to aim. I found it in too much easier to play with. But I think these types of questions are going to be basically just as important as how good is the weapon, you know? It's going to be how good are the other weapons in the meta game, and is it going to be playing well against them, you know? If suddenly Splashomatic is going to be amazing, then Splashomatic might suddenly be a lot better or a lot worse, you know?
And if your whole identity is, you know, like with the triple Ink Strike spamming is, you know, all focused around countering the Crab Tank, and then Crab Tank gets absolutely gutted into the ground in a patch and falls off, then that triple Ink Strike niche suddenly becomes, less significant. And it's really interesting. I can see in the chat we've got Small Leviathan saying that they don't think it'll see play because the Tentatech is better unless the T-Tech gets nerfed. That was the initial opinion I had, Leviathan, that I think the T-Tech is just a much stronger weapon, and I prefer splat bombs to suction bombs. So I didn't really see the Neo Splash having a niche at all. But if you are looking for that dedicated triple strike kind of spam, and that in your comp, you know, makes the difference to just shut down you know, enemy Crab Tanks, then in that sense, from a dedicated spamming and map holding standpoint, I think the Neo Splash would have the slight edge. So I'm not kind of completely convinced they're identical yet, and that was just something that one of our dear friends and another League legend, Nyok, kind of said to me earlier, and that I've seen a few kind of top players mention that about the Neo Splash, and actually said the Neo Splash outclasses the Tentatech. So I think it's something to watch this space on. It might not be as black and white as we think, but it's certainly been entertaining to see how heated some of the arguments have got on Twitter. I think play nice, everyone.
The difference as well is that the Neo Splash, or that the Splashomatic, is a lot higher skill level or higher skill ceiling than the Tentatech. Because I feel like the Tentatech is much easier to play just because of the shot accuracy as well, because the Splashomatic is perfectly accurate. So maybe at the very highest level with perfect accuracy in your shots, that's just going to make a huge difference, you know, depending on if you can consistently get those splats off in the middle of a match, whether your Tentatech is going to be a little bit inaccurate. And I think that might not be underestimated, where maybe at the mid-level, or especially at my level, where I can miss half of my shots, then Tentatech might be more efficient just because of the higher shot potential and the stronger damage. But maybe if you're very, very accurate with your shots, then the Splashomatic, just that extra bit of accuracy, might just be super helpful in these ones.
I think that's a really good observation, because I would say these days, Emil, you're a better player than me, kind of fundamentally, in terms of, like, I guess, game sense and understanding of that. But I think accuracy is one of my strong points, and you know, my kind of aim accuracy is one of my strong points, and I think I value the Splash a lot over the Tentatech exactly because of that. You know, if I'm right up in someone's face, then I know that the Splash will go where I'm aiming. whereas the T-Tech has that slight variance that can get in the way. But then the splash is held back by the range decrease as well. So I think it's a tricky one for sure. It'll be one to watch the space on. It would be absolutely tragic if with all of these new weapons and kits, the only change we see is one of the crab tank splashes gets swapped out for a tri-strike one. That would be absolutely tragic. But I do I do think we're going to see more of a meta switch up than that. Normally these patches for new seasons are where they make more brave, shall we say, changes to weapon viability.
Yeah,
So I think
maybe
we could
so.
see some big nerfs to go along with any buffs. And yeah, I think watch this space. I think if we're finding the meta a bit boring and a bit stale at the moment, with it just being grab offs, I do think there's a lot of scope for that to change with the new specials and the new weapon kits. And yeah, I'm interested in the Kraken being back as well with the beacons and the new Kraken. I think that's going to
Yeah,
be
that
annoying
will
as
be
someone that
amazing.
struggles with rollers. Yeah.
I think our message as we're going into the break is probably going to be, let's have like 5 days of patience until the next rotation, until the next wave of weapons comes out, and a few balance changes might occur, and then we can truly decide whether or not some of these changes are massively important and are going to outweigh everything that's happened so far, or whether it's going to be, you know, just basically the same meta game as we used to.
Yeah.
We'll see you back in a bit.
Yeah. Take care, folks. See you soon for the next match.
Splatoon Stronghold, a stronghold for competitive Splatoon, providing resources to long-timers and newcomers alike. If you're new to the competitive scene or still figuring out how to join, we have a getting started guide and plenty of other resources to help you in your journey. If you are a seasoned veteran, we still have plenty to offer. You can find and join tournaments as well as participate in our Captain Forum and find free agents and teams. Our mission is to make competitive Splatoon easily accessible to everyone. So what are you waiting for? Join the Splatoon Stronghold today!
again. We are here with Nate, Chili Boy, Squiddy, Nathaniel, and me, Emil. How are you, Nate?
I am fine. I like how Emil's just listed my plethora of Splatoon kind of up goes since I've started. I was Squiddy with a happy face back in the Splat 1 days, and then everyone else was Squiddy, and I saw another Squiddy with a happy face after it, and that was the final straw. I had to change my identity from there, and I am a Chili Boy now. But I am
Never.
it's all, yeah, all the glory days of being Squiddy happy face are gone. I'm good. I've just been watching flames in the chat in terms of discussion around the Splashomatic and how it has ruined our dear meta. But other than that, I am good. Hello, Spy. Good to see you in chat as well. How are you, Emil?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm again looking forward to this game. I like these teams. I like Luna. Luna always is back with me whenever I'm playing in solo queue. So that's basically my number one reason to cheer for people if I'm playing solo queue and they booyah me whenever they see me. So I'm happy about that.
That is very important. And I think just to say, folks, as well, we are now moving into the single elimination bracket. So the top 2 teams from each group have qualified. We're starting with best of 3s. We'll be moving into best of 5s in the semi-finals and finals. But this is it now. People lose this, they're out the tournament. So a lot at play here, a lot at stake, and Stan Solos and Rumbling very evenly seeded, so we've had similar performances so far. Do you have any trivia on these two, Emil, at all?
I mean, trivia stuff. I mean, I know both of these teams, of course, and I know both of these players. Splatting, I know specifically, I think Splatting is probably the player to look out for. I think they're very strong. They're on a lot of... They've played quite a lot with a bunch of strong French teams. I think they used to play for Suspense as well, which is a very strong team. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't been following him too closely anymore, but I would watch out for him if I were you.
Yeah.
But in this case, indeed, Rumbling looks to get the first push going, the first checkpoint already. Stan Solos, I think, are like partly streamers. Like, I recognize at least 3 of them as being Twitch streamers.
Nice.
Different varieties. I think their team name is probably a nod to one of the streamers as well, if I have to guess. I'm not very confident. In fact, I'm not very confident at all, but that would be my guess.
I was wondering if it was a reference to being like, you know, the stands of solo queue, the gods of solo queue, and they were playing, you know, there was some good play there where Rumbling were getting that push, and it was down to just Ely to Stan Solos being really good at forcing Ely to out, and then this Zipcaster play here. Wow, the kill just, that was amazing, just as Troy even spawned this, oh my god, this Stamper absolutely going ham and popping off, and we cannot underestimate Stan Solos here, clearly, because that was an incredible triple, and this is going to be Stan Solos' opportunity to push, but they are going to need someone on the tower if they want to push.
That's a very nice play. I've never seen that before, where you just see someone jump out and then you just zip line back to their spawn, just to the place they spawn, and just on camera there. Because of course, in Splatoon 2, you used to have this barrier around your spawn where you couldn't be hit, but now in Splatoon 3, there's no such thing anymore, so even jumping back to spawn as soon as you land, you're just going to be just as vulnerable as if you were in death center of the map, you know, you just get taken down just as easily.
You are never safe. Go on.
No, I was about to say, like, Rumbling is about to push here, but then they basically got team wiped again, so it doesn't really matter, so we can chill out again.
Yeah, it's a good stalemate so far, as we'd kind of probably expect with the seeding. Really, you know, lots of back and forth. I mean, such an aggressive play from this Splatana Stamper, but it's beautiful. Look at that. And then they knew they were cornered there, but they're the only player alive. I would not be pushing right now. I don't care how aggressive you want to play. Let your teammates get safe jumps in. They are backing up to do that, which is good. That booyah bomb feels a little, kind of, yeah, a bit early to throw that out on Rumbling's part, but has, yeah, just basically reset everything to a neutral state. So we've got 2 minutes on the clock, and this could go to anybody. I don't feel confident saying this is in anyone's favour right now.
Yeah. And I basically didn't look at their roster, and Stan is just one of the players on the team, so it makes sense that they're called Stan Solos. Just as another mention. Then that does explain something. Yeah, I expected the booyah bomb to be immediately melted by the Platana stand, because that's the possibility, right? Of basically melting a booyah bomb in one hit as soon as it comes down.
I believe it can.
They are the only one alive, so it's going to be very hard to manage that anyway. It probably was too risky for them being the only one. So that was still a fair play. Rumbling, though, in the long term, is definitely able to get more of control of mid than Stand Solos at the moment. They're definitely being pushed back. With Rumbling pushing into their spawn, pushing out way more in front than Stand Solos is, and it seems like all the picks at this point are just going to Rumbling. Other than that one nice push that Stand Solos had.
Yeah, I think, you know, with a minute left on the clock, a score of 36, with Rumbling still being on the offensive, having a couple of specials charged here. They've got a booyah ready, they've got a wave breaker ready, they've got a numbers advantage. This is going to be a very strong push from Rumbling. There's 2 down on Stand Solo, 3 down on Stand Solo, so entirely dependent on the zip caster from the Splatana Stamper here to make a change, but they're going to reach that last checkpoint. They still have the numbers advantage. I don't know how they're staying all alive on this push, but this is looking really strong from Rumbling now, and it looks like they're going to secure that with a celebratory triple ink strike to take that first game. And yeah, that was a really strong push when they got that opportunity.
Very well done by them. It looks like they just wanted to chill out and not take too many risks, and those are the nicest pushes to have, right? If you have to push, if you're down and you have to go all in, then it's very risky because you can just get team wiped, but you don't really have another choice. But in this case, Rumbling was already ahead. They already had that lead. They had the numbers advantage, so whenever they felt they were in any danger, they could just retreat to make sure that they didn't go down there. And that allowed for a very, very nice push because they could just run down the clock. Even if they didn't knock it out, it didn't matter that much because they were in the lead. The tower was on the other end of this the other end of the map, so they didn't have to worry about an immediate counter push. It's just really nice to have that option.
Yeah, it felt like they knew, you know, if they kept up playing the way they were, they kept just getting slight numbers advantages, kept holding that map control, that they were going to get the opportunity to push further and further. So it was a very patient push. It was, you know, wasn't reckless. It was well thought out, and yeah, amazing to take that by knockout after what had been a really kind of engaging stalemate at the start. We are sadly going over to Wahoo World Splat Zones, which I know is not the community's favourite map mode combination, but it does exist. We have to acknowledge it. We have to work with that. I'd be amazed if I don't see at least a couple crab tanks per team, but there've been some very creative compositions so far, so we might not. Do you lean in a particular way towards Wahoo Zones, Emil? You're quite a relaxed person, aren't you? So
I mean,
I'm assuming you're not too angry.
Really, the only reason we're still playing Splat Zones on Wahoo is because I keep putting them in the looty map lists. I'm the only one who likes this map, so we're going to play it a lot. Half the maps in tournaments that are Wahoo Splat Zones are just me putting it in the looty map list. So you're to blame here for this map that you're playing right now. This is my fault. I'm the one you can blame for this site. So if you don't like it, you can talk to me. You can DM me, and I'll be defending it. Now I'm not really defending it. I'm just like very neutral towards this map. I think it's interesting. I like a bit of a variety in maps, and I think Wahoo Zones is a very decent map because you have a few options of attack. You know, you can go left, you can go right. Well, you can't really go right, but you can kind of go right. And the zone is quite large, so it's one of those maps that you can't just sit in a lockout point, and basically the lockout point is just the zone, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I like about this. The downside is that it is very large. It's very easy to farm specials here, which you could call a downside, but that makes it decently easy to at least get back in it. Because it is always so large, it takes a long time to get into mid. So you have this weird double sort of meta game where on the one hand it's really easy to get in because you can farm specials so easily, but because it takes so long to get into mid, you don't have very many options. So the ones you have to take full advantage of. So you'll see quite a lot of knockouts here. Just if that one or two pushes that you have don't work, then yeah, you just get knocked out.
Yeah, that was a nice try from the play from the Splatana there to try and just absolutely nuke the crab tank. Didn't work because of the dung beetle defense mechanism, but I quite like Stan Solo's team. It's not kind of what I would have expected. I would have thought we'd have like maybe one crab tank, but I think the Explosher's a really good choice. What we do see though is Rumbling kind of having this ability to just chip away again, and they recovered from Stan Solo's cap quite quickly. They have just lost 2 players though, so now with Stan Solo's kind of aggression and 3 down on Rumbling, this is actually a really good chance for Stan Solos to get this map control. And like you say, this is a map that is prone to knockouts, and you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw one on either side here. That Booyah Bomb, though, taking out 2 people when that Sloshing Machine was still last alive is going to be really clutch for Rumbling.
Yeah, that's a really nice play. That was really tough because I felt like Stan Solos really needed that kill over there just to be able to get rid of it. But they do have this double zip cast now. I think they had 1 last match, or do they also have 2? Because the Octobrush is also zip caster, right?
They were double zipcaster last time, but I think we just got immersed in the hype of the Stamper plays. But yes, they are double zipcaster, which is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe the brush can go in as well, because they do have the zipcaster. Oh, they just immediately get sniped. That's already rough. They really needed that zipcaster, I feel, to get back in. That's going to be really rough. With 2 alive, it's going to be basically impossible to push in. So they're going to have to be patient for the next 10 seconds, not rushing just yet. And with 5 seconds left, they're all going to have to go together. But it seems like they're getting off individually, and this might just be it.
I think it is. I think that's why I was kind of gritting my teeth a bit, because you said about them being patient and regrouping, and I agree they needed that, but I just kept seeing one death by one death on Stan Solo's side. I did like the Octobrush's movement there. It was a nice squid roll with that pressure, but then as soon as they jumped out, the sniper was just patient and waited and got them. So yeah, unfortunate end to that game too. A bit more of a dominating showing from Rumbling, but really well played on Rumbling's part. I think, you know, they really took advantage of those numbers and just had a really strong lock. And you know, big shout outs to the Sloshing Machine, Octo, for their play there where they were last up and they saved that Booyah Bomb and managed to get a double with it, because that is what allowed Rumbling to get immediately back into the game when Stan Solos were starting to take control. Congrats to Stan Solos for making it through to the single elimination bracket. You know, you have to be good to get to this point. That will be the end of their run, and Rumbling will be advancing to round 2. So I think that's us on another short break, isn't it, Emil? And then we'll be back for a round 2 game.
No.
Cool. See you.
Splatoon Stronghold, a stronghold for competitive Splatoon, providing resources to long-timers and newcomers alike. If you're new to the competitive scene or still figuring out how to join, we have a Getting Started guide and plenty of other resources to help you in your journey. If you are a seasoned veteran, we still have plenty to offer. You can find and join tournaments as well as participate in our Captain Forum and find free agents and teams. Our mission is to make competitive Splatoon easily accessible to everyone. So what are you waiting for? Join the Splatoon Stronghold today!
Hello again and welcome back to Battling Pool 203. I'm Emil. I've just been called dry by the rudest display of affection I've ever heard by my co-commentator Nate. How are you, Nate?
Hey, dry as in dry sarcasm, you know, dry delivery, but you're still very lovely and wonderful and entertaining. I mean, you just made me sound a savage there. But yeah, I'm good, thank you, my friend. And this is tragically our last match we'll be commentating together today, but we're going to be handing over to two other wonderful, very talented casters in the form of Broken Pinky and Spy after this. So we are going to be watching Intercontinental Breakfast, what a name, versus No! And we have to say it like that because they've got three exactly the three exclamation marks after their naming. We can't ever just go no. It's got to be no, or you've got to put some kind of character, or like you did it, and we just extend it and say no for an hour.
There's no more. That's just one O, so it's probably not an extended no. It's probably a loud no, but it is not capitalized, so it's a bit weird. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
Or a hard no.
Yeah, like the lack of capitals makes it calmer, but then the exclamation marks are like, no!
Not sure what they thought was the team name. Honestly, both team names, but the team names are fine, but the individual... Why does Intercontinental Breakfast seem like all of their names come from Kingdom Hearts, or is that just me? They just don't have any normal...
When as soon as you slap a bunch of X's or Z's in your name, then it is just Kingdom Hearts syndrome, isn't it? They've all been converted into nobodies, and oh, that's Kingdom Hearts plot spoilers, but that game's really old now, so you should know what's going on in that if you don't play Kingdom Hearts.
That is, to be honest, it could be any of like 5.
The Kingdom Hearts is a game that you can have played every version of and still be extremely confused about what's going on because all the like games are told out of order and they're spread over about 58 different consoles. But anyway, that's a story for another time. Here we are, round 2, single elim, No v Intercontinental Breakfast. And we've got a really interesting mix of comps. We've got Splatana Wipers on either side. We've got double Splatana on one side. And we have Sloshers coming out for No, I believe, which for Intercontinental Breakfast, which is brilliant.
I see Breakfast immediately being pretty aggressive, which is not what I expected. You'd expect the double Splatana comp to immediately rush at them. But it's actually, I see Breakfast is putting on the pressure. But no, doing very well and holding off for now. Double stab. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to keep this up, or if it's going to be annoying if I keep it up, but I'll try. But yeah, No is probably the favourite in this case, I would say. I think most people would consider No to be at least the more experienced team. So I'm hoping to see Icy Breakfast doing well. Yoshi are getting a nice flip off snipe right there, and it seems like they're basically getting team wiped here, because it doesn't look like this Splatling is going to survive. And is this immediately a moment for No to already be able to push? Because they don't seem to have too many clams.
No, I think that is the only issue is the lack of clams. I mean, in terms from a slaying perspective, No have been absolutely fantastic so far. They've been absolute savages, but they didn't seem to have the set ready to high score. And this is a beautiful stamper. Maybe someone trying to convince me to give the Nozzle D a try, but they getting promptly revenged there. I mean, this sniper for No has been incredible so far. Just some really amazing shots in a minute and a half. We are seeing No have quite a good amount of clams now, so if they can get the picks again in the way they did at the Open, then they will have the opportunity for a push. But it looks like Intercontinental Breakfast are aware that they're on the back foot, just throwing out that Toxic Mist and trying to make it quite hard for No to advance much further.
Yeah, with their sniper Yoshi probably being the most notorious player on the No team. And probably what most people would expect to carry. Indeed, that sniper seemed to be surprisingly useful in that situation, because they were fighting a 1v4 and somehow they got out of it. So that was very impressive. I didn't expect that at all.
I think even when when that works, it always feels a bit janky and confusing to how people get out of those situations. A bit of a tragedy in that we saw an Ultra Stamp come out by the Splatoon wiper, I believe, on No side, and they lobbed it to try and get people off Icy Breakfast's plat, and it hit the wall and didn't just evaporated, which was absolutely tragic. But a good idea on paper. It is looking like Intercontinental Breakfast now are having the numbers advantage. They're very deep in, and they have a good amount of clams, so I think Icy Breakfast could get on the board here if they play this right. They've got to contend with that sniper who's gonna they're gonna get it. They have managed to get the power clam in. I don't know if they're gonna be able to get much score off, but the Jet's coming out here, forcing the Elite out of position, but they have managed to somehow escape. Oh, they haven't. They've finally been taken down, and they have got a second power clam. Is that in? Yeah, they have. So this is 3 down, a huge score on Intercontinental Breakfast's part, and this is a really strong push, a really quite scary push to try and recover from on No.
I feel like you might be down like about 10 seconds from my point of view, so maybe you should refresh your stream in a bit, but it could be good for the next match, because I feel like the push was almost over at that point, but it's fine. Yeah, Icy Breakfast actually doing a really decent push, because it seemed like No was able to control most of the pace of the game for the first 2 minutes or so, but Icy Breakfast going for a second push with, can they get the second power climb in again? No, the time was going to wear out, but close enough. But just the fact that they're able to put up this consistent pressure against No is very impressive, and getting sniped out, because that sniper Yoshell seems to be the only thing keeping them alive right now, with this Tri-Slosher being very aggressive and putting up a lot of pressure on their opposing spinner, and just sitting there basically the entire match being uncontested by No. Doesn't seem to have much of an answer for him.
Yeah, I am caught up. I was a few seconds behind, so apologies for that, for having a very delayed hype reaction and narrating that like about 5 hours after it actually happened. But yeah, I mean, an amazing push on Intercontinental Breakfast part. I think that aggression in the combination of the Tri-Slosher, these hammers as well. I'm starting to rethink the Ultra Stamp, actually having a place, but it looks like No are going to manage to break the basket. That feels like it's come a little bit out of nowhere, but yeah, this is their chance to make something happen. The Splatling managing to hang in there and apply some pressure to hold off, but if they get a jump with the power clam here, this could be really scary.
Oh,
and
they're down very nice clams.
Wow! Yeah, that was
touch play. Just getting those 2 clams in at the end, because they knew they had to, but that was very quick decision making, because they knew that the timer was going to run out just before they could get the power clam in as soon as they died. So they had to get those 2 in just to extend the timer by a few seconds, then to get the power clam in. And it was impressive, because it didn't seem like No was able to push at all that entire match, but suddenly at the end with a nice team play, and they're on the board.
Yeah, that was incredible stuff. Like you say, I'm able to have that game sense of knowing that they're not going to get another shot. They have to preserve that timer, keep that basket open at all costs, even if they go down, preserving that timer and just allowing their teammate there to jump with that power clam and take the lead in what was a match that, like you say, was really weighted in Intercontinental Breakfast's favour for the most part. I think both of those pushes really impressive, and that they were both some really high scoring, well coordinated and synergized plays. So yeah, that's going to be a heartbreaker for Intercontinental Brothers to had such a strong showing that game, but no, absolutely deserved that. Everyone had to be in sync to make that counter push work as it was going into overtime. And Intercontinental Breakfast need to just try and shrug that off, accept that was unfortunate and that misplays cost them, and go into Splat Zone Sturgeon, aiming to show that explosive firepower that they showed us throughout most of that last game, to try and make sure that don't clutch this and end this set early.
Yeah, it seemed like both teams were almost evenly matched. They just traded blows the entire game. It was almost an advantage that Intercontinental Breakfast was able to, or like that No was able to push second, because they knew exactly what score they had to get to, right? Probably if they had done that initial push, they probably wouldn't have risked those those two clams. They probably wouldn't have been able to get that power clam in, and they would have taken the same option, or the safe option. But in this case, just being able to know, okay, 39 is the target that we have to get to. We're at 50 now. Okay, we just need that power clam. That just allowed them to play a little bit more riskily and know what they have to get to, at least.
Yeah.
Now we got zones. We see a slightly more aggressive comp in this case from No more double Splatoon Wipers. And that just allows them to get a bit more pain going, because it did feel like Intercontinental Breakfast had the option of ruling over the map from most of the previous match.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, those Tetras are just notorious for wreaking havoc and very risky, aggressive plays, but where you can recover very quickly with your high QR build. I liked that play there, looking out for that tri-slosher, trying to flank into onto the spinny and taking it out. So No are going to get the first hold here. They have just lost a play. They have lost two, so I see Breakfast doing well, not getting too phased about losing zone, but I'm quite surprised they're letting the timer keep tick. I think it was because they wanted to make sure they caught that super jump, but that recap is going to be really nice on the Icy Breakfast. Getting another jump punish. This Platana Wiper just saying, you cannot jump, I will punish you for it. And it looks like Icy Breakfast now going to possibly take the lead here and have a chance to really hold the map, put No on the back foot. And we saw how scary they are when they have offensive momentum in that previous game. So let's see what No can do to recover from this situation.
Yeah, another very interesting match, and indeed, Icy Breakfast is not able to protect their super jumps at that point. Are they able to catch zone here? No, or is Icy Breakfast no? Icy Breakfast is definitely going to be able to rule this again in cap zone, and this might be a very scary push for this point in time, because they can probably push it to 30 or even 20, and at that point, that might be like almost a game-winning push if you're able to hold on to that. And No only really has one shot. They do have that crab ready. They have a wave breaker ready. They're going to be putting them out now. And this is their shot. If this Platan is able to get a kill or two, that'll basically determine. But if they get knocked out immediately, that might be the end of the match. So we'll have to see. No, very nice.
Yeah, I think that was such good patience on No's part, because the panic could have kicked in there. And a lesser experienced team would have probably engaged a bit too early and been heavily penalised for that. But they waited. They waited for that perfect opportunity. That Zipcaster was really well utilised to get a pick and cause a distraction. And No are going to be able to get the secure absolutely where they needed it, and not just get the zone back, but get a numbers advantage here. Essentially 3 people down almost simultaneously on Icy Breakfast part, and No now have a chance to just lock this out and end it here. So I think now the table's really turned, and Icy Breakfast need to regroup and centre themselves and take their time. But with the Splatling going down and then the Tri-Slosher going down, this actually could be No closing it out here and now.
Yeah, and this is what we saw from a few previous teams, where whenever they got into a tough moment, and indeed No are just going to be able to take this set entirely. We saw with a few previous games where teams who are on the back foot like this, like Noah's, like a minute ago, they just kind of went in one by one. They just kind of gave up, but Noah had the patience for it. They knew it's fine if they get any points. It doesn't really matter as long as right afterwards we can hold it and prevent them from capping it. It doesn't really matter what score your opponent has because you just have to hold it for a while and you're going to be winning. And that's what they did in this case. Nice and patient play. They knew they had to wait for it, and that's what favored them at this point. And Icy Breakfast losing both games in this case, almost in long, not in overtime, but it definitely felt like both of them were just late game pushes that Icy Breakfast just got wiped twice in a row, which you just can't do at this point. So very nicely done by now.
Really good analysis. I agree with you completely. I think this was a really good showcase for if you're maybe a bit more of an anxious player or you get quite frustrated when you're on the back foot and kind of tend to rush into engagements. A really good illustration from No here about how you need to regroup as a collective. You can't just be the individual hero all the time, and that if you go in synchronized as a group, you've got a much better chance of recovering from what was quite a scary situation. Icy Breakfast had some fantastic showings throughout that game. Despite not being able to get on the board. So congratulations to No for advancing, really well played. Well done to IC Breakfast for getting as far as they did. And I believe that is going to be the end of our time with you, Twitch chat. So I have been Chili Boy. You can find me on Twitter.
I've been Emil. Sorry.
You have.
Yeah.
I was going to say where can we find you, Emil? But I think you're a bit of you're hiding, aren't you?
I'm in hiding. You can DM me on Discord. But the next casters are going to be Spy and Broken Pinky. Is Broken Pinky, is that just Pinky who changed his name, or is that not Pinky?
There is a Pinky and there is a Broken Pinky. So Broken Pinky is a
Pinky.
different person. Yeah. So
you also associated with Dapples in the past. So
yeah. So Broken Pinky and Spy will be your lovely company to see out the remainder of this tournament. I hope you've had a lovely time. We've enjoyed being here. You can find me on Twitter, chiliboy_splat, and Emil will be loitering in the Looty server scheming for the next season. But we will go to a break while we swap casters and while we look for the next game that we're going to commentate. But yeah, pleasure being with you all. Thank you for all our kind of teams for just providing some amazing entertainment and showcases. And this is just such a fun community to be a part of. So it's always fun to be.
Thank you for being here with me, Nate. And we'll see you later.
Yeah, pleasure being with you too. Look, do this again sometime. Have a good evening, everyone.
Splatoon Stronghold, a stronghold for competitive Splatoon, providing resources to long-timers and newcomers alike. If you're new to the competitive scene or still figuring out how to join, we have a getting started guide and plenty of other resources to help you in your journey. If you are a seasoned veteran, we still have plenty to offer. You can find and join tournaments as well as participate in our Captain Forum and find free agents and teams. Our mission is to make competitive Splatoon easily accessible to everyone. So what are you waiting for? Join the Splatoon Stronghold today!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Paddling Pool. I am Broken Pinky. I'm joined here with Spy, and we are on to round 3 of the tournament, and we're gonna be watching Rise versus Polar Bear. Spy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. I'm especially excited for this set because this is gonna be like the set that, concludes everything, because we're going into semifinals after this and then the finale. And the first map's gonna be Splat Zones on Inkblot. I just want to have your opinion on this map. How do you feel about this?
I definitely think Inkblot is one of the more solid maps in the state on this game, but I'm not exactly sure how well Splat Zones kind of meshes with it. That tower on the top is kind of annoying, and you only have one way onto that plat through that ungradable slick area, but Inkblot is still a very solid stage. And Spy, do you have any sort of thoughts on the stage whatsoever before we hop into it?
I mean, I can definitely agree with you that this tower in the middle is really annoying. I hate zones that do this. But I feel like the map overall is laid out pretty well, so I don't have any complaints beside the tower.
I mean, hey, that's valid, but I mean, this is one of the last tournaments before the update that's going to drop, I believe, a week from today. So this is sort of the last chance to really solidify this meta and to really close it off. But with that being said, we are going to be getting into battle time as we go to quarterfinals between Rise and Polar Bear, and we're going to take a look at these comps to see what we're going to be working with.
Okay, we can already see a Tri-Slosher and a Splatana Stamper. I love these picks, and we see also Splatana Stamper on the other side, like on the side of Rise. I really like Splatana Stamper. I've pointed this out with Chili a lot, and I just love the weapon, and Tri-Slosher is a really cool pick, even if the weapon is not really that good in the meta right now, but who cares about the meta?
Yeah, Splatana Stamper has definitely been picking up on usage very quickly as of late, just because of how well people are sort of getting used to its little idiosyncrasies, and we're already seeing Polar Bear trying to take advantage of that with that Splatana Stamper, but it's getting bullied. It forces Zipcaster out, and the Zipcaster gets taken out. Rise is already rising above, having control of that zone, and gets a nice wipeout, and they're starting to push into the territory of Polar Bear and trying to get that lockout going.
Yeah, I feel like they also try to paint a lot, because that'll give Polar Bear a lot of less space, and this could just solidify their strategy of not letting the enemy in while they try everything they can. But it seems like Polar Bear could push in right now, and they actually do manage to cap the zone, while the Splatana Stamper is just going full into Zipcaster mode, but actually goes down. Like, both Splatana Stampers are actually down well. 2 people are down on the side of Rise right now, so Polar Bear could really pick up the time, and if they get it done correctly, they could actually get the lead on this.
Yeah, exactly. Polar Bear did a great job with that counter push, really taking advantage of that Splatana Stamper being forced to go into Zipcaster, rushing in behind them, and they've just rid this momentum, and they have the lead once again, and they have a ton of control on this map. And now Rise has to sort of, the shoes on the other foot, they have to get back in. Specials are coming out, but it's not enough. Rise is 3 dead. It's just the Stamper on the left side does get the pick on the splash and a great 1v1, but this Stamper is alone, forces Zipcaster, trying to stay alive, desperately trying to get a pick, goes down. Rise is all back now though, and they have to get this zone now before the knockout happens in 10 ticks.
Yeah, they're really forced to go in right now, because it's just really a forceful situation right now, but Polar Bear actually gets the win on this with the full-out KO. Like, this was really interesting, because I feel like Rise was off to such a good start, and then they kind of fell apart, and this kind of gave Polar Bear a good option to push in. I feel like the Zipcasters also had a huge role in this.
Yeah, exactly. Those Zipcasters were huge for just getting around and behind, but notably, I feel like both of these teams try to take advantage of the other Zipcasters going off, and other Zipcasters really being forced, you know. I think Rise had a Zipcaster that got, or I think Polar Bear had a Zipcaster that got jump camped. Rise is able to push through some Zipcasters, so already good counterplay coming out from both of these teams, and Polar Bear is going to take a quick game one, and now we're going to be going into a counter pick. I don't think we've had this before in this tournament, but Rise, because they lost game one, they have the chance to counterpick. And Spy, and what strategies do you think? Oh, never mind, the counterpick's already in.
Okay, that's kind of cool. Wait, is it Inkblot again?
Are they running it back to Inkblock? I mean, ain't nothing wrong with that.
I mean, they could, but would it be that useful? I have honestly no idea. I mean, I feel like Zipcaster is good on this map because it feels kind of crammed. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when I play Brush on this map, it just always feels crammed. But we're actually going into Clamblitz Museum de Alfonsino. I mean, this is kind of an interesting one because I feel like Clamblitz is kind of complicated on this map because there's like this enormous choke point going into the enemy base that is really hard to push in. Like, how do you even feel about this?
I don't know. I love this stage. I love the fact that there is that left-sided route, and I feel like it definitely rewards team coordination. And Polar Bear showed to have really strong coordination because if you can muscle your way through that choke point, you can just hold such good control so easily. And Polar Bear gonna go forth and try to do that and try and finish the setup at 2-0. Rise is forced to respond, but already Polar Bear is having a monstrous presence. That Stamper's being set up well on that right side of the map.
Yeah, and they also have double splash, which is, you know, kinda, but that doesn't matter right now. There are 2 people down on the side, 3 people down on the side of Rise, never mind. And, okay, never mind, they're just all dead. And Polar Bear is already onto the push. Right now they're going full charge in. Even when the Sultana Stamper goes down, the Inkjet is actually doing quite a good job, and they get another big clam in. But yeah, Rise is just really pressured right now because they were overrun at this low point of the match, while Polar Bear is just going full force into pushing, and they get enough clams in right now. Like, it's a lot of clams, and they only have 27 on the on the clock left on the counter, you know.
Yeah, but that push is going to be stopped right in its tracks, but not before Polar Bear is able to get it down to 27. They didn't get a lot of kills during that push, but they got the wipeout, and they were just able to suppress Rise for so long that they got down to 27, and now Rise, you know, that was the push in the first minute, and they have to really make something happen here. This Zipcaster's going for that crab tank. He needs to get this kill, but the Zipcaster gets picked off. Rise is 3 dead, and Polar Bear able to have a great defense here up against Rise. Fractured trying to make a push happen, and Polar Bear has a ton of control in mid right now, and the clam economy is absolutely on their side.
Yeah, I mean, Rise has just really been not into this very well right now because I feel like the crabs were also like pressured a lot by the Splatana Stampers. Like, as you can see, the Zipcaster is going full force in, and I feel like it's just a really good distraction tool for getting the enemies on like focus onto you while the other team members are going full force in, and they actually get another big clam in, even if they don't really get, you know, a follow-up for this. It seems like Rise is really not doing that well right now, even if Polar Bear does not manage to get like a lot of value out of this.
Yeah, but Polar Bear is being incredibly intelligent right now. They know that it's worth to have at least some members still alive rather than just try and force some clams in that basket because they have a tremendous lead right now. 2 minutes and 30 seconds are gone, and Rise has not scored once. Polar Bear is all up in their plat and just has it all the way down to 27, and Rise trying to make something happen. This splatter shot wants to get that Zuka, wants to get some poke. Tri-Slasher goes down on the side of Polar Bear, but it's 3 versus 3. Oh, but Rise has the number advantage right now. If they can compound this into a wipeout, they could get a push started.
Yeah, I mean, they're utilizing all their specials right now. I mean, we saw the Crab and the Zipcaster going off, also the Trizuka. And it seems like it's kind of neutral right now because Rise doesn't really have a lot of the control, but Polar Bear doesn't really have that either, which is about to change, I feel like, because they're all in their you know, in their force field right now, in their base.
Polar Bear's just moving quick.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like Polar Bear is just kind of forcing them into their base to kind of, I wouldn't call it spawn camping, but to keep them in their base and not get any map control. I mean, they're going all in right now on the side of Rise. We see 2 picks for the side of the V-shot by Rise. And yeah, it seems like Polar Bear is not having a good time right now.
Yeah, but
Even-
now it's
like-
3 dead. It's a 1v1. This 1v1 is so huge, it goes in the favor of Rise. That's Sultana Saber getting a huge pick, but Rise has no clams right now. There's a minute left. Rise is on that platform, but they have no clams to work with, and they need to have enough clams to get it down to 26 or lower, and that's going to be incredibly difficult for them at this stage in the game. Now these clams are spawning. Rise starting to get some clams going. Crab is being popped. Zipcaster is being popped. The Zipcaster has to stay alive. It's still alive for now, but that could change very well. This teamfight is so crucial in deciding who wins this game. This shot as the ball is going for the basket. They break it. This Splash gets the 1v1 of the try, but it's 2 versus 2 right now. And Rise does not have a lot of members up, and they aren't able to score. That's their push being stopped at 80, and Polar Bear just has to defend for another 45 seconds to get this win.
Yeah, I mean, their follow-up was not really existent because they only got, like, the big clam in. I feel like that would just give them a huge disadvantage if Polar Bear actually decides to push in and get a big clam in at the time of the overtime. And, yeah, there are 2 people down on both sides, like, 1 people down on the side of Rise and Polar Bear. And Polar Bear seems really conflicted right now, but they actually win because Rise doesn't have a big clam.
Yeah, Rise did not have the time or the economy to make another power claim at the end of the game. And Polar Bear, off the back of their incredible push at the beginning of Game 2, able to win the set over Rise 2-0 and moves on to top 4.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the huge problem for Rise just now was that they had, like, no clams at all. Like, we saw that they had the 1 big clam at their push, but that was it. Like, for the overtime, they didn't have a big clam, and it feels like their clam output was just minimal overall.
Yeah, I think that just comes with a lot of map control. Generally, if you get that map control before you push, you just have a lot of clams at your back you can quickly swim for, but Rise just kept going down. Polar Bear had such a strong defense that was so hard to fully break, and I don't think Rise ever got the wipeout on Polar Bear, and a wipeout is really crucial for getting a strong push on Museum, and that's exactly what let Polar Bear get the strong opening push, and that's exactly what Rise failed to do back.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's kind of complicated on this map because there's this huge choke point which you just have to get through, and it's kind of a pain. I feel like that's why people don't really like this map mode if they don't, and I can totally understand that, but I feel like you just have to pressure yourself through with, like, specials. That's, like, the entire kind of way to get the, get the points.
Yeah, exactly. But again, it's just the team play of Polar Bear was able to just make it happen so efficiently, and I mean, they were just able to push up so quickly and so effectively, and that's what really let their pushes just have so much incredible weight. And I mean, that's what got them the set, and that's what got them into top 4. So very well done to them for sure.
Yeah, like, both teams played very well in this.
Yeah, but with that being said, before we go on to our top 4 match, I believe we're going to be going to a quick break. Make sure not to go anywhere because this is going to be semifinals. We're almost through this tournament, so stay tuned because this Splatoon action is going to keep on going.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Paddling Pool 203. I'm here back again with Broken Pinky. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Spy?
I'm doing also very well. We're gonna be jumping into a balanced squad versus Polar Bear. This is kind of like we've seen Polar Bear before, like literally 5 minutes ago. And our first map is gonna be Splat Zone's Flounder Heights. How do you feel about this?
I love Flounder Heights. I think it's a great map. I'm happy it's back. I think one of the big challenges with Flounder in this game though is that a lot of people try and play it like this is a Splatoon 3 map when in actuality it has a lot of idiosyncrasies that don't quite mesh super well with a lot of the core concepts people are used to with this game. But I think it's a great stage, and we've seen in 20XX especially that Tri-Slosher is really strong on the stage, so we might see some tri-picks, especially from players like Shinek in this lobby.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like generally sloshers are really good on this map because I feel like if people are going for the flank, like on the left side, you know, where it's like really high up, I feel like if you're just sloshing down, it's gonna be a really easy pick if you know what's going on.
Exactly, but that being said, we are going to be getting right into it. This is going to be semi-finals, a best-of-5 set, the first of its kind, and it's going to be Balanced Squad versus Polar Bear. Let's take a look at these comps and see what we're working with in this best-of-5 set.
I mean, Polar Bear is sticking to their Tri-Slosher, Splatana Sniper and Double Splash, while Balanced Squad is actually going for Carbon Deco, Squeezer, and Double Splash. I love Carbon.
Yeah, Carbon Deco, since Splatoon 1, has just been kind of the signature assassin on the stage. Just able to stay on that wall, paint for himself really well with that burst bomb, but here comes Shinex on that Tri-Slosher, going immediately for that Carbon Deco. They know that Carbon is a value pick because you do not want that Sharker around. There's a battle in trench going up, but right now, Polar Bear seems to be winning the battle of zone quite handily, getting close to getting this cap in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, the Carbon Roller was just all out for that Splatana Stamper, and he actually gets that pick. And yeah, Polar Bear is actually holding the zone right now, and they have some control, which could be the downfall eventually if they do not get to, you know, pick this Tri-Slosher, which they actually just did. And there are a lot of people down on the side of Polar Bear, while Balance Squad already has some time off their clock right now. And yeah, Polar Bear is just kind of pressured into their base a little bit because Balance Squad is just kind of overrunning them, I feel like.
Yeah, this Squeezer from Balance Squad came up huge with that double. That Inkjet gets a nice assist, but gets shot down with that crab very quickly, and it's one of the failings for Inkjet that will hopefully be addressed in the next patch in the upcoming days. But for now, Balance Squad is able to take advantage of it, but Polar Bear able to force him out of the zone, able to get that cap. They're through that penalty, and they're trying to get a push of their own. Nice pick from the splash. It's 2 versus 1. It's just one of the splashes remaining on Balance Squad, and they're able to get one of the zones, but they go down, and that's going to be continued control for Polar Bear here.
Yeah, I feel like the Carbon is just kind of the last person alive right now, and that gives Polar Bear a good time to kind of adapt. That being said, the Carbon was just sharking there, and I feel like that kind of threw Polar Bear off, and they do get to go in right now, like Polar Bear, and they actually got some good penalty on Balance Squad, while there are 2 people down on the side of Polar Bear, and the Squeezer is just really utilizing that wall to minimize its own damage. And
Yeah, this has been an incredibly back and forth game. I'm sorry to cut you off.
no, it's okay, it's okay.
But yeah, incredibly back and forth game. This card is getting a ton of value from Balance Squad, and Balance Squad, they don't have the lead right now, but they're holding zone pretty strong. Triceratops coming to zone, they need to be able to stop this. Carbon and Try Trade, though, I'm not sure that's in favor of Balance Squad here. Crab is going to come out, and Balance Squad still is not at the lead, and Polar Bear, that Splatoon Saber, able to come up huge and get a distraction with that Zipcaster to cap the other zone. Carbon is coming out big, but the Burst Bomb is able to pick off the Stamper from a mile away, and Balance Squad has a numbers advantage of it, and they can continue this into another hold of the zone.
Yeah, I mean, the Squeezer's just popping off right now, and the Splashes also got their Crab. Well, we already see the other Splash going for the Crab right now, and the Splatoon Stamper was just really pressured out and was not able to do really anything. And Polar Bear is just in a tight situation right now because they really are pressured into their base, while Balance Squad is just kind of sharking there while they utilize their specials, which could be a waste, but also could give them kind of the advantage. But, I mean, yeah, Balance Squad is only down to 9 points, and the Carbon is really utilizing this stage as a sharking point, like, all the time, and this actually gives them the win.
Yeah, beautiful plays from that Carbon Roller and from Balance Squad in general, getting a very clean game one, you know. Polar Bear had hold for quite a bit. They were able to get into the 50s, but Balance Squad, they got hold once at around the 60-point mark, and they just never let go, and they were playing so solidly from there on, and just able to hold that cap into the knockout, and they go up 1-0 in this best-of-5 series, and now Polar Bear has to make a counter pick to try and give themselves back the advantage.
Yeah, I feel like that Carbon was just all out sharking at all times. Like, we could see a lot of Carbon picks on here just because the Carbon was like sharking at every thinkable situation or like plays. Like, that was kind of wild.
I mean, yeah, Carbon's a heavy sharker weapon, and especially on Flounder, it's an incredible pick, and we saw just able to get really nice 1v1s with that Burst Bomb into vertical flick combo on like stuff like the Tri-Slasher and the Splatoon Stamper, and it really helped Balance Squad just come out ahead, and now Polar Bear has to make a counter pick. It seems like they're opting for something on Rainmaker. They just need to choose their map, but they definitely want to make this counter pick count.
Yeah, I feel like it could really be interesting what counterpick they're gonna pick. I feel like it would be something that Tri-Slosher can really get an advantage of because they have been sticking to this kind of Tri-Slosher comp, and if they actually get a map that really is fit for this kind of playstyle, that really could be something positive for them.
Yeah, but I think another thing that's worth noting is that Polar Bear is running double splash right now, and Flounder Heights is probably one of the worst crab maps in this game, just because there's not a whole lot of open sidelines that you can really take advantage of with crab. So I would imagine that Polar Bear would opt to go for a map mode that really allows crab to just kind of run free and just have a lot of those open sidelines. So it's really up to them, but they have to make, you know, they're the ones with the onus to make that counter pick because they have that counter pick disadvantage on their side. Balance Squad winning that first game and just having to sit comfortably and just try and beat out Polar Bear whatever they choose, and it looks like they're going to opt for Splat Zone's Brinewater Springs.
I mean, this is also a really interesting pick because I feel like, I mean, it has a block in the middle, which I really don't like because I don't like blocks in the middle of a Splat Zone. But I feel like weapons that really utilize a lot of range, for example E-Leader, or specials that are really good for displacement, for example Tri-Strike, are really good on this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of weapons that are just really good on this stage, but the thing about Splat Zone's Brinewater is that it's a small stage in mid, especially. That mid is small, and once you get past that, you can just really start spawn camping on that entirety of ramp, and it's really this is a stage that really rewards a strong, sturdy hold, which, I mean, we saw Balance Squad can do really well, but there's a lot of good open crab sidelines. This is a great leader map, but that also means it's a great map for crab. Just lobbing those expo shots over that wall and just able to wall out so much of that ramp and street area. So smart counter pick on the side of Polar Bear. They're going to try and make it work in their favor. But that being said, Balance Squad up 1-0 as we go into game 2 of semifinals in this series. Let's take a look at what these weapon loadouts is going to be. We see Double Splash, Try, and Stamper again. And we see the Carbon Deco Double Splash Squeezer. No comp changes. They're just going to be going at each other, trying to make it happen.
Yeah, I feel like Carbon is also a really good pick for this map because I feel like that ledge at the, at the base is just kind of a spot where people could actually suffer a lot from this Carbon.
Yeah, but that Carbon is already down, as is the Stamper on the side of Polar Bear, but Polar Bear has the numbers advantage. They have the zone capped right now. Balance Squad has some crabs at the ready. They're starting to pop them a little bit, and they're just going to try and move forward, trying to get back into the zone, and trying to stop Polar Bear from getting a really strong hold here, because that can be deadly on a map like Zone Grind Water.
Yeah, I feel like it's really not that easy to kind of get the zone back if it's already in possession of a team. But actually Balance Squad is kind of, getting the zone, and it seems like they could get this lead. And I mean, there's already the Tri-Slosher down on the side of Polar Bear, and there are 3 people down actually, which is really big for this because now they can really push into their base. While it's just kind of a back and forth if they want to push that base or not, because I feel like that's just kind of the spot where they're not really able to go in that much because they do have some specials, like for example the Inkjet right now. Even if it's not that strong, it can definitely get some value. And I feel like Polar Bear just really needs to go in right now because Balance Squad almost has their time up, and Polar Bear actually gets that zone back, and that means a big penalty for Balance Squad.
Yeah, Balance Squad getting all the way down to 19, but Polar Bear able to get a strong response. But right now, Polar Bear's only 2 up. That Stamper just respawned. Carbon trying to get the pick, but gets stuck on a bit of ink. Trizuga's going to come out. Did the Carbon get a pick? And they do. That's huge. The Stamper goes down, but Balance Squad is still a few members down. They need to be smart with how they tackle this. They don't want to overexpose themselves too much. They want to be safe, but I mean, Polar Bear's almost through that penalty. Crab's being popped. Balance Squad does get control of the zone once again, though, and that is huge for them, but they need to get a few members down from Polar Bear if they really want to extend it into a strong push.
Yeah, I mean, it's really open right now. Balance Squad has a special, which they could utilize to their advantage. But I feel like a lot of people from Balance Squad just kind of jumped out right now because it's really a tight situation and there's not a lot of area which you can cover if it's all covered by the enemy team. And Polar Bear actually got the penalty off, but it seems like Balance Squad already has the zone capped again, which gives Polar Bear another penalty.
Yeah, and Polar Bear is now 3 dead. It's just 1 splash left alive, and Balance Squad letting their members respawn in, and this is kind of their last push to try and get that knockout here. Polar Bear has to try and get it. They have roughly 2 chances left to get in the zone, but the Crab goes down to the Zuka shot. The Strike and the Crab are getting popped, but it's just 2 alive on the side of Polar Bear. Beautiful kill from the Inkjet onto the Squeezer. Inkjet gets 2 kills. That's absolutely incredible for Polar Bear, but Balance Squad has such a strong hold in this zone right now. They're through their penalty, but Polar Bear able to get that cap in the 11th hour. Beautiful place from Shinex on that try, able to just keep the hope alive a little bit longer for Polar Bear.
Yeah, and I feel like we just saw that little fight between the Splash and the Splatana Stamper, and the Splash actually used their Burst Bomb really good to kind of finish that Splatana off. And I mean, the Splatana is just really going off on the side of Polar Bear right now, kind of pressuring out the teammates, utilizing its range. And the Squeezer is down on the side of Balance Squad, and the Tri is down on the side of Polar Bear. And the Carbon Deco is actually using its Trizuka, which actually gets them a pick. And it seems like they could flip the zone right now, but I feel like the Carbon is just kind of focused on getting picks and blurring the other members in, while it's just kind of distracting and giving them an opportunity to push in. And well, Burst Bombs are definitely flying right now.
Yeah, the Burst Bomb, just such insane coordination from Balance Squad, but right now they're trying to keep hold of the zone, but Polar Bear is able to get it, and now there's only 45 seconds left in this game. Polar Bear has to make this hold count, but the Carbon's in zone, gets the trade, but the Stamper goes down as well to the Crab tank, and Polar Bear is going to lose control of the zone very shortly. Assuming Balance Squad works together to get this cap. They're almost there. They do have the cap. There's only 30 seconds left, and Balance Squad in a phenomenal spot right now. They're all up right now. They're starting to build back some specials. The Splash is close to crowd. This 1v1 is incredibly huge between the Splash and the Stamper. Stamper stays alive, pops the Zipcaster. Splash forces disengage, but Balance Squad is 3 dead. Polar Bear gets the wipeout. We're probably going to be moving into overtime. There's only 10 seconds left, and Polar Bear is probably going to be through their penalty by then.
Yeah, I mean, that wipeout was just really crazy, and Polar Bear really has got this advantage right now because they really can use their specials to keep the enemies in their base while they work down their way to victory. But it seems like Balance Squad is really getting their specials right now, and that could actually, yeah, that's the cap. And like that, Balance Squad actually won this.
Yeah, beautiful defense from Balance Squad there. They were getting pressured in their spawn area, or in their ramp area, but they said, we're just going to go around, we're going to ignore the pressure, and we're just going to go for the long-range pan of the zone. They popped both crabs that just lobbed their expo shots onto the zone, and just like that, Balance Squad up 2-0 over Polar Bear, and putting themselves in a great position to move on to Grand Finals. And now Polar Bear has to make a counter pick and prepare themselves for a reverse 3-0 if they want to move on.
Like, this is kind of off topic, but Pinky, is everything okay? There seems to have been a fire truck at your place somehow.
There's a bit of a fire truck, you know, around, but you know, it's your normal everyday disaster here in the US of A, so nothing to panic about.
Yeah, I don't know if the stream actually heard it, but I was like, what was that noise? And then I just heard a fire truck. I was like, what is going on?
I promise you, it was not my own actions that conjured the fire truck being called.
I mean, yeah, and we are actually gonna be walking into this next map. I mean, the counter pick is not really open right now, so we don't know what it's gonna be. But this actually could be the match point for Balance Squad.
Yeah,
this is the match.
It is a best of 5 set. Its first 3 wins, unlike the sets we've seen before. But that Balance Squad is just up 2-0 right now. They're trying to win this 3-0 before Polar Bear can respond. And yeah, as you said, Spy, they're at match point right now. So Polar Bear really has to make a strong comeback if they want to make it to Grand Finals.
Yeah, I mean, everything's open right now. Like, it's entirely possible that Polar Bear's just gonna freaking reverse everything and they actually get the 3-2 win. But everything's open right now, and we're gonna see which counterpick they're gonna be. And yeah, let's just stay excited for this.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of pressure's on Polar Bear right now. They really need to get some momentum on their side, and if they don't, they're gonna be out of this tournament in top 4. So, and you know that the competitors in them want to move on, but they're being very meticulous with this counter pick. I think we're locking it in on Tower Control Eeltail Alley. Very interesting pick from Polar Bear. Spy, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I like Eeltail Alley, and I feel like Tower is one of the better maps for it. Tower is one of the better modes for this map, but I feel like an E leader or something is really good on this map, especially like on that little roof on the right. If the tower is just closing in on the enemy's base, I feel like that could really be huge, but I don't think that one of these teams is actually gonna stick to an E leader. I feel like they're gonna just stick with their comms, like which they had right now, and I think they're gonna stick to everything they've had before.
Yeah, I can only imagine that they want to stick with Alt Reliable. I mean, they kept with it on Brine Water, but we might just see an E-Leader pop out here. I do know that it's nice to be getting off of Splat Zone and seeing some of the other modes in this game. Now we're going to be going onto Tower Control, where that holding control of that tower and getting that special advantage is so crucial for getting a strong push across, especially in Crab meta, where, you know, Crabs flying about is just so incredibly good. And I mean, whichever team is able to get control of that tower is just in a strong spot. But Eeltail, definitely interesting tower spot. That second and third checkpoint are incredibly difficult choke points to break through, but if you can get through that third checkpoint especially, you're putting yourself in a great spot to win the game. But that being said, we should be shortly getting into game 3 of the series. Now it's battle time. There we go.
I mean, yeah, that was the perfect timing right now.
There it is, match point.
Yeah, it's match point. I love this. I love this. It's actually so cool. And yeah, Polar Bear is gonna stick with her comp, and Balance Squad is also sticking with the COD, just as we expected. And I feel like they could really utilize their Tri-Slaughter and Carbon again. I feel like that's a map with a lot of, like, it's kind of a lot of ledges for the tower specifically. But I mean, this Platana Sniper is already down, so this is off to a great start for Balance Squad.
Yeah, Balance Squad already in an amazing situation. The Splash and the Try go down too. That's going to be almost a delayed wipe. It's just going to be that Splash left alive and Crab just running so far away. And there's the delayed wipe. Everyone coming from spawn. This Carbon Roller in a great spot, already sharking, and Balance Squad right off the bat at that second checkpoint. Specials are going to come out to try and keep people away from it. Yeah, Polar Bear are 2 dead already. Balance Squad is just marching forward with incredible pace. This Crab trying to get the pick on the Stamper as Balance Squad goes to the 3rd checkpoint, and Polar Bear is 2 dead already, and they're going for the knockout here and now.
Yeah, I mean, the Carbon is just sharking at this edge, kind of getting all the picks right now. And there are 3 people. It's a wipeout. What the hell was this? It's an immediate KO on Balance Squad. Like, what the hell? They were sweeping through this entire match.
Balance Squad said that last game went to overtime, but we don't want to have that happen again. They won in under a minute. That was 59 seconds to a T. And Balance Squad 3-0s Polar Bear and is going to move on to grand finals. Just absolutely dominating the set, whether it's the neutral map, Polar Bear's counterpick, whatever. Balance Squad will get it done, and we'll get it done 3-0 at that.
Like, that was actually huge. I feel like that Carbon and the Squeezer were both doing really great jobs at getting a lot of picks. I feel like that Trizuka also was utilized very good. And as I said, the Carbon was just staying at the ledge and kind of sharking there and getting that vertical swing. So yeah, that's just typical Carbon for you.
Yeah, I mean, overall, just incredibly well played to Balance Squad. I don't think they've lost a single game today so far, and they're all the way in grand finals. Just an incredibly dominant showing for them. They're the #1 seed for a reason, and I mean, they're showing it. They're a strong team. They're in grand finals of the single Elam bracket, and someone from the other side of the bracket is going to have to stop them.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be exciting. Like, I'm actually excited for this, how it's going to play out. And I'm really curious to see who is going to play against Balance Squad and who could potentially win this.
Yeah, all that and more is going to be coming after a short break, though, because we do got to take a little bit of time, let ourselves cool off a little bit, but we will be back with grand finals of Paddling Pool 203. Make sure not to go anywhere, because the storyline is going to keep on being written, and Balance Squad is going to just try and keep this roller coaster moving. So we'll see you guys after a short break.
Splatoon Stronghold, a stronghold for competitive Splatoon, providing resources to long-timers and newcomers alike. If you're new to the competitive scene or still figuring out how to join, we have a getting started guide and plenty of other resources to help you in your journey. If you are a seasoned veteran, we still have plenty to offer. You can find and join tournaments as well as participate in our Captain Forum and find free agents and teams. Our mission is to make competitive Splatoon easily accessible to everyone. So what are you waiting for? Join the Splatoon Stronghold today!
Hello everyone and welcome back to Paddling Pool 203. I'm Broken Pinky, I'm joined here with Spy, and we are in grand finals, Balance Squad versus Shard of this tournament. Sorry for the long break, we had a game 5 set off stream, but we're finally back getting into this. Spy, how you feeling?
I'm feeling really good and I'm feeling excited, especially after this long break. It's been really hyping me, so I'm really excited for this because we haven't seen Shard in this before, I think. At least for the set we are doing. And we have seen Balance Squad really popping off against a polar bear, so this will be exciting, especially on our first map, Hagglefish Zones. How do you feel about this?
I mean, I think Hagglefish Zones is a very balanced map. I feel like generally the better team will win on this stage, but it's very important to keep in mind those flanks on either side, and we've seen Balance Squad play quite a few times. They've been rocking with that double splash, squeezer, and carbon deco, so they might stick with it, and that would give them some interesting play options on this map. But as you've stated, we haven't really seen Shard on stream at all, so it'll be interesting to see what they bring to the table.
Yeah, certainly, and I feel like if Balance Squad is gonna stick to their like carbon and squeezer kind of comp, I feel like that would be really good on this map because Squeezer is just a weapon that could really fight off that unpaintable area, I feel like that little tent. And I feel like Carbon could just like go under the tent and just get the ledge picks how it always does.
Yeah, Carbon can shark really effectively on this map, but there is some awkward terrain to traverse that Balance Squad is going to have to account for. But I mean, this is a phenomenal crab map. You get that crab up on the tent and you can just patrol so much of the area from so far away, so it'll be interesting to see. You know, we get to see what Shard brings to the table, and we get to see how Balance Squad responds, and right now, Balance Squad is the heavy favorite. They're the #1 seed, and they have not lost a game yet going into this grand finals. So they have a lot of momentum on their side, but Shard is coming off a very strong Game 5 win versus the Root. So they are definitely warmed up, and they are ready to take on Balance Squad in this grand finals. So anyone can guess what is going to happen. I think it's going to be a great set.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really certain that Balance Squad will stick to their comp because they're just really warmed up with this, and it just kind of fits their style. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I'm picking up what you're putting down. It's been working really well for them, and it suits how they want to play. And I mean, it's gotten them here. But without further ado, here we go. Game 1 of Grand Finals is underway between Shard and Balance Squad. Take a quick look at these comps before we start things off on Zone's Hagglefish. Balance Squad not changing a thing. Shard running double machine, squeezer, and splash. Both teams rocking a squeezer on this map mode. Very interesting.
Yeah, and looking over the little color swap we have, it's okay. But the Shard is really yeah, their comp also includes a squeezer, which I think I really like. But it's also like that double machine, which could just really get off a lot of booyah bombs, which could potentially get some counter for the crab, and potentially just paint the zone because it's a really good painting tool. So, I mean, the machine is already popping off with 2 picks at its disposal, and yeah, Shard is really. Wait, which machine?
Yeah, Shard is the one with the good control of the zone right now, and this machine is on that left side trying to get that pick on the splash, but very exposed spot themselves. Here comes the squeezer. This machine is fighting for their life. The teammate comes in, the machine goes down, but the squeezer goes down, and Balance Squad only has a splash holding crab remaining as their last line of defense, and Shard is taking really strong advantage of the zone right now in the first minute.
Yeah, I mean, Shard is already down to 50, which is really, really strong for the beginning of the match because it's only a minute into this. And it seems like Balance Squad could get this cap now, and they actually do, which does give Shard a 45-second penalty. It's not really second, but you know what I mean. And I mean, it's really going good for Balance Squad right now because there were 2 people down just now, and they're just getting into the respawn. And they really do have this kind of back and forth right now because they kind of want to push into the enemy space, but they're like, oh, should I do this or should I not? And we already see the little crab battle. Like, it's really funny. And Balance Squad actually gets this lead right now, while the Trazuka and the Booyah Bombs on the side of Shard are just going in, not able to cap the zone though.
Yeah, double Booyah is being thrown up from Shard, but it's just not enough. You can just paint over the Booyah, the splash gets the double kill, and Balance Squad in a great spot to get this knockout right now. They're up 3 versus 2. One of the splashes is trying to go in, the machine trying to stuff it. The kill is gone, but Balance Squad only has 10 ticks to go. Shard is trying to move into the zone. This machine is getting close, but the machine gets taken out, and Balance Squad takes a very strong comeback game 1, going up 1-0 in the set.
That was a really fast match, but I don't think it was like fault of Shard. I feel like they've played really well. I feel like those Booyah Bombs were just kind of not enough because Shard actually does have 2 splashes and no, not Balance Squad. I'm talking about Balance Squad, sorry. Because Balance Squad also does have 2 splashes which are really able to paint over Booyah Bombs really well, so I feel like that kind of didn't work to their advantage.
Yeah, Balance Squad definitely has the paint advantage in this battle of comps, and that means a lot in Splat zones because Balance Squad can just very easily outpaint Shard, and that makes their job a lot harder. But now Shard is going to have to make a counter pick to make something happen. It looks like they're going to go with TC Mahi. Are they really locking that in? Are we going with it?
Are we really doing this? I mean, I don't hate Power Mahi, but just because I think it's hilarious. Because you can always drop into the water, and I'm always laughing myself off if anyone falls into the water because I always laugh when someone falls into the water.
Surely, okay.
Okay, they actually don't.
No way, they're not picking this. Okay.
What?
I'm sorry, Twitch chat, you cannot see what we're seeing, but we are seeing some curious things coming from these counter picks, but
We're not gonna play Turf War.
Shard wants to play Turf War and Mincemeat right now, but yeah, Shard is down 0-1. They have to get a strong counter pick because right now, Balance Squad has that counter pick advantage. If both teams win on their own counter pick, then Balance Squad will be the winner of this tournament. And I mean, as we've stated, Balance Squad, an incredibly strong team, hasn't lost a game yet in this tournament. And Shard is trying to just pick a counter pick to stop Balance Squad's momentum in their tracks. And are we going into recon mode? Can we shake on it? Are we going Zone Sturgeon?
Please, I would love that. Zone Sturgeon is so cool.
There we
Yes.
go. We did it. Oh my god. By the way, it was on Rainmaker Wahoo for a hot second. I don't know if just want to make sure everyone in chat is aware.
And also there was like Rainmaker Hammerhead for a second, and I was thinking, why? Yeah, but it's actually Zone's Sturgeon, so I'm really glad. I love this map.
What are some of your thoughts on Zone Sturgeon, Spy? Because you seem to have some good opinions here.
I mean, as a T-Tech player, I really love this map because of like the spinner, and you could really utilize a tri-strike there, but I feel like they could already use the Trizuka of the Squelcher, not the Squelcher, the Squeezer, which is really cool for them.
Yeah, but we're going to be getting into it, and we see Shard is going to be picking up a T-Tech, trying to go with a bit of what you're saying. That's a quick respawn T-Tech on the side of Shard. Very interesting choice. I guess they want to get a bit more paint on the splat zones that are so Shard's opting for double shooter. Balance Squad, of course, nothing's going to change their comp, and I mean, it doesn't help that this is a really good Carbon map, because Carbon can just shark in so many places and just schmoove so well. And Balance Squad is schmooving all over Shard, getting them 3 dead. It's just that machine left alive. Balance Squad gets control and quickly moves into Shard's court and just already taking a ton of space in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, like the Squeezer is painting a lot of the enemy's base, and I feel like that's also some, you know, physical pressure right now, or like psychic pressure. And the Trizuka is just going all against the crab, getting that pick. And there are 2 people down on the side of Shard again, so it seems rather neutral right now because there are actually 2 people down on both teams. So Shard could use this to get the zone cap, but the Carbon is going absolutely ballistic right now.
Carbon is going ham.
Aggressive.
But it looks like Shard is trying to get the zone, but the Zuka gets the double? This Carbon is going absolutely insane. Shard still doesn't get the zone somehow, and Balance Squad is holding on to it just a little bit longer. That jump is going to get camped, and they're almost at this knockout 10 timer ticks away, and Shard never able to get set up. They're trying for the zone, but that's the near wipeout, and Balance Squad dominant game 2 display, and they're at tournament point right now.
What just happened? That Carbon was going full on into rage mode. He was absolutely just camping there, and when he saw an enemy, he was just going into brute force.
That Carbon roller just smelled blood and went for it and just pounced, and I mean, really, really strong showing from Balance Squad here. They're a balanced team. They got the aggression and they got the paint too, and I mean, it's what we've been seeing all tournament in Balance Squad. At match point, at tournament point here, up 2 over to Shard, and Shard really has to find an answer here with this second counter pick of theirs, because it's not looking great for them after that game too.
Yeah, that was really insane. Like, they were really having this aggressive comp, while I feel like 3 or 2 people went into the enemy's base. The Carbon was just kind of chilling around the splat zone, sharking for anybody, and if he saw someone, then he wanted to see them dead.
I mean, that's the Carbon way, baby.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's literally every Carbon player in existence, I feel like.
Hey, we see people, we don't want to see them anymore. Get them out of here. I've played a lot of Carbon in my time, and I know the hive mind where you see someone and you're like, nothing else matters. We're Burst Bomb, Vertical Flick, next target.
He's like aggressively introverted. I mean, literally.
I hate all people.
I
Die.
hate all people. I feel like the Carbon would kill his own teammates too if he could.
You know what? Maybe, but it looks like Balance Squad's gonna have to keep it together a little bit longer as Shard is gonna make this counter pick onto Zone's Ink Blot. Shard is gonna be sticking on Splat Zones here, which has not been working out for them very well whatsoever. So, very interesting choice. Spy, what do you think of this pick?
I feel like it's gonna be a really good map for the Carbon again. I mean, I feel like Inkblot Art Academy has always been a really great Carbon map because going out of the own base, there's like this really high ledge where a Carbon can just smoothly kill their enemies and Shark at the ledge. I feel like that's a really good Carbon map. I feel like that could really be a disadvantage for Shard.
Yeah, I mean, I still find it surprising that Shard is going to go back to zones. I feel like you'd want to mix it up, but maybe just feel really comfortable in zones. But either way, match point here as we see for Balance Squad up 2-0. Balance Squad not changing a thing. You can't mess with success. Shard going double T-Tech, double splash. We're playing Splatoon 3. In a few days, it'll be quad splash, baby!
Yeah. Also, I feel like Shard thinks this is Triton Cup. This is not Triton Cup. Yeah, but like, yeah, Balance Squad is going all into this right now. They're all at the zone, but Shard actually gets some picks because, I mean, it's really aggressively played by Balance Squad, which could actually be kind of bad for them because they have some good weapons on their disposal on the side of Shard, and it actually shows because there are 2 people down on the side of Balance Squad, while 2 T-Techs have their Tri-Strike, which could be insane.
Oh, yeah, but one of the splashes is a little overzealous on the side of Shard. Balance Squad able to pick that right up, but right now, Shard has some incredible momentum going down. They got it all the way down to they're getting close to 50 right now. And it's really hard for Balance Squad to really get set up. They're just below that 50-point marker. There's just no contestant on the zone right now. Shard still has this numbers advantage. They're able to just stay so mobile and get out of so many situations with their quad shooter comp. Crab is going to be popped, but right now, Shard is at that numbers disadvantage, but the Crab is able to even it up, gets a double, gets the kill on the Carbon as well. Crab is going to come from Balance Squad here, but Shard is very close to getting this knockout. Balance Squad has to be quick about painting the zone, but Shard is 3 dead. That's going to be the end of their push, and Balance Squad now has to get all the way down to 13 or lower to get the lead back.
Yeah, like that was a really scary push for Balance Squad. I mean, Shard was just going all into them, and I feel like Balance Squad was not really expecting that, and I feel like that kind of gave them this little freak out, and they were just like choking at this point. So I feel like if they have adapted to this kind of playstyle utilized by Shard, they could actually return this. As we can see, the Trizuka is just going all force out right now.
Yeah, Balance Squad trying to return this favor. They have a ton of control right now, and this timer's ticking below 30, and they're getting dangerously close to getting this lead back, and this lead back could be the game. 10 points away. Shard has to move into the zone now. They need to stop this lead. The zone is being contested right now. The Shard has the numbers advantage. They do get the cap on the zone, though. Luckily, they're able to stall this out a little bit longer. The Carbon is the last force to retreat. Shard keeping their hopes alive a little longer, and now Balance Squad has to respond once again as the game is nearing the halfway points.
Yeah, but like both teams have a huge penalty which they have to work off. And I feel like this game could really stretch itself if it's just gonna be a back and forth again for like just the battle of the zone. I feel like that little tower in the middle could be also utilized perfectly for a T-Tech or the Squeezer because of the Trizuka. And we see the Carbon just being aggressive as always and just kind of being a sneaky little Carbon.
Yeah, Carbon going for the sneaky plays. It's able to work out for them as Balance Squad regains control of the zone, but right now a lot of that zone is painted in that purple color of Shard. Balance Squad trying to regain it, but they're just getting pressured from all sides, and Shard is doing a really good job of picking things back up. Carbon in a bad spot, that's the 4th death, and Balance Squad starting to fall apart a little bit here. The Squeezer's stuck on the low ground, trying to get a jump from Okami. The Zuka's gonna come for the zone, but right now, Shard is in a great spot, and Balance Squad really needs to work together and get a strong push going if they want to get this lead from Shard.
Yeah, and like again, the penalty is huge, and it's just a huge back and forth because I feel like a lot of times one team is at an advantage, and then the other team just kind of picks up and gets the advantage. But right now, it's going to the favor of Balance Squad, while they have that one special ready, the Crab Tank, which they're probably going to use on this tower right now. I could really see them doing this. Yeah, they actually did, as I expected. Now, yeah, they're really working off their penalty right now, and they're holding off the enemy. feel like that is really good for them right now because their penalty is just gigantic right now. And that Splash is just kind of ignoring that one T-Tech even though it could be the end for them.
Yeah, ignoring that T-Tech could prove fatal, but the Splash still gets a pick on the T-Tech. It's 2 versus 2 right now. Oh, but it's just the squeezer alive for Balance Squad, stuck so far away. There's only 38 seconds left in this game, and Shard setting themselves up for success here. They're very close to being done with this penalty. They could get a knockout if they're able to hold on to the zone for long enough. But Balance Squad trying to do something about it. Squeezer is done with their Trizuka though. They don't have numbers on their side. The paint is just so in favor of Shard right now, and that's just the advantage of quad shooter, but the Squeezer gets the pick. That's 3 dead for Shard. This is the last chance for Balance Squad. They have to get this overtime win because you know they want to stop the set at 3-0.
Yeah, and they're really just going into the base on the side of Balance Squad, and they could work off their penalty right now where that Squeezer gets that beautiful kill, actually gets a double kill. And
That double could be it.
penalty is close to being done, while the T-Tech is really doing everything it can, but it's really hopeless against them. And with
That's
that,
it.
Balance Squad actually won this, and with that, Balance Squad is the winner of this tournament.
Yeah.
Wow, that was a great match.
Balance Squad is your paddling pool 203 champions, not dropping a game. That is 10 straight game wins throughout all 4 rounds that they played, and Balance Squad taking a dominant W here in paddling pool, getting that nice 3 over Shard. Shard would have won hell of a battle, especially in that game 3, but in the end, Balance Squad, I mean, they're the most balanced squad. They have a little bit of everything, and that little bit of everything was enough to get them the W today.
Yeah, like, as I said, this match was just an entire back and forth. Like, you could really see, during that one moment, one team is just pushing in and getting so much points for their team, and then there's just an entire flip, and it's like the same exact thing, but for the other team. It was really chaotic, but it was so fun to watch.
Yeah, and especially that last push from Balance Squad in that overtime, that Squeezer, I believe, getting 2 picks, maybe even a triple, I'm not even sure, but just that Squeezer coming up so huge and just stopping all of Shard's last lines of defense and really forcing an effective stagger. And I mean, pretty much all on the side of Balance Squad just had an amazing showing here. That Carbon roller game of Fusion game 3, Squeezer coming up huge in, or Carbon in game 2, Squeezer in game 3. What an amazing team, and what a well-deserved victory for them.
Yeah, this was really insane. That both teams played so well, but I mean, at the end it was the win for Balance Squad, but it's definitely a deserved second place for Shard. They worked their butts off, and it really shows off. They were doing great in this.
Yeah, but with that being said, I believe that's going to be all for us here at Dapple Productions. Congrats once again to Balance Squad for winning Paddling Pool 203. But before we sign off, Spy, I gotta ask, where can the wonderful people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, just at Dr. Spy LOL. I don't play League of Legends, but that doesn't matter. Where can people find you?
You guys can find me at Twitter at BrokenPiggy_, where I sometimes post mid takes complaining about shooters, as you do. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching Paddling Pool 203. Once again, huge congrats to Balance Squad. Stay tuned for this raid and make sure to have yourselves a wonderful night. Goodbye.
Goodbye.